Ryan Cole stared at the legal notice clutched in his trembling hand. 30 days to lose everything he'd built for his daughter. Across town, a mansion loomed where his brother had died under accidental circumstances, and the man responsible had just invited him to dinner. One father, one conspiracy, one chance to survive the truth that killed his brother. If you want to see how a powerless man brings down an empire built on blood and lies, stay with me until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story reaches across the world. The salvage yard smelled like rust and old rain. Ryan Cole wiped grease from his hands onto a rag that had stopped being useful 3 years ago, squinting against the late afternoon sun, cutting through the gaps in the corrugated metal fence. His daughter's bicycle leaned against the office trailer, pink streamers faded to a sickly coral. She'd be out of school in 40 minutes. He still needed to pick up groceries. The sheriff's cruiser rolled through the gate at 4:15. Ryan knew before the deputy stepped out. You didn't grow up in Millerton County without learning to read the language of official vehicles arriving unannounced. Deputy Carver had gone to high school with Ryan's brother. That made this worse somehow. Ryan. Carver didn't take off his sunglasses. Got something for you. The envelope was manila, legal-sized, official in the way that made Ryan's stomach drop. He opened it there in the dirt lot with Carver watching, the deputy's jaw working over a piece of gum that snapped in the silence. Notice of seizure and asset forfeiture. The word swam. Illegal dumping of hazardous materials. Environmental violations dating back 14 months. Fines totaling $240,000. Failure to comply would result in immediate seizure of property and assets. 30 days. This is bullshit. Ryan's voice came out flat. I run a clean operation. You know that. Don't shoot the messenger. Carver shifted his weight. Judge Howell signed it this morning. You'll want to get yourself a lawyer. With what money? Carver didn't answer. He walked back to his cruiser, gravel crunching under his boots, and Ryan stood there, holding the end of his life in his hands. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Mr. Cole. The voice was female, precise, the kind of accent that came from expensive schools. My name is Miranda Cross. I represent Victor Langston. Mr. Langston would like to extend an invitation for dinner tomorrow evening at his estate. 7 o'clock. He believes you have mutual interest to discuss. Ryan's mouth went dry. I don't have any interests with Victor Langston. I think you'll find that you do. A pause. Your brother certainly did. The line went dead. Ryan stood there with the phone against his ear long after the dial tone started, watching dust devils spin across the salvage yard. His brother had been dead 18 months. Accidental drowning, the coroner said. Thomas Cole, 34 years old, found floating in the quarry lake with .12 blood alcohol. Case closed. Except Thomas hadn't been a drinker. And now Ryan held a legal notice that would destroy him in 30 days, and an invitation from the man whose name Thomas had mentioned 3 times in the month before he died. He picked up his daughter at 4:55, watching her run toward the truck with her backpack bouncing, her smile the only clean thing left in his world. Dad, guess what? Mrs. Patterson said my essay was the best in class. That's great, sweetheart. He pulled into traffic, checking the rearview mirror out of habit. What was it about? Heroes, I wrote about you. She buckled her seatbelt. Can we get pizza? Tomorrow. Tonight we've got leftover chicken. She made a face but didn't argue. Ryan's throat felt tight. 30 days. Maybe less if they moved fast. He'd have to sell the equipment, try to settle the fine, hope there was enough left over to rent an apartment somewhere. Start over. Again. He'd started over when Sarah left. Started over when Thomas died. He was tired of starting over. The house was a rental on the east side. 2 bedrooms, peeling paint, a yard he kept mowed because it was the only thing he could still control. Inside smelled like the lemon cleaner he used too much of, trying to cover the smell of mold in the bathroom. Emma dropped her backpack by the door and headed for the TV. Ryan stood in the kitchen staring at bills held to the fridge with magnets, doing math that didn't work no matter how he arranged it. His phone rang again. Different number. He answered. Ryan Cole? Male voice this time, older, rough edges. You don't know me, but I knew your brother. Need to talk to you, not on the phone. Who is this? Name's Garrett. Tommy and I work together. Look, I'm not supposed to contact you, but there's things you need to know before you do something stupid. Like what? Like accept any invitations from Victor Langston. Meet me. Tonight. There's a diner off Route 9, Red Line Cafe, 9 o'clock. Come alone. I've got a daughter. Then get a sitter. This is important. The line clicked off. Ryan stood there with the phone in his hand, Emma's cartoon laughter floating in from the living room. His chest felt too tight. Everything was moving too fast, like standing on ice that was cracking in every direction, no safe place to step. He called Mrs. Hendricks from next door. She agreed to watch Emma, asked no questions. Ryan left at 8:30, told his daughter he had a meeting about work, kissed her forehead. She smelled like strawberry shampoo. The Red Line Cafe sat in a strip of dying businesses between the highway and nothing. 3 cars in the lot. Ryan pulled in next to a Ford pickup that had seen better decades, killed the engine, sat there watching the door. His hands hurt from gripping the steering wheel. Inside smelled like fryer oil and burned coffee. A man sat alone in the back booth, maybe 50, maybe 60, face like worn leather. He wore a canvas jacket and didn't look up when Ryan walked in. Ryan slid into the opposite seat. Garrett? Keep your voice down. Garrett wrapped both hands around a coffee mug. You get a legal notice today? How do you know that? Because that's how they work. Apply pressure, make you desperate, then offer you a way out. Langston's playbook. Your brother figured it out too late. Ryan's pulse kicked. My brother drowned. Accident. Your brother was murdered. Garrett's eyes were flat. And if you go to that dinner tomorrow, you're next. The diner's fluorescent lights hummed. Ryan's ears rang. Tommy found something, Garrett continued. Documents, records, proof of what Langston's been running through this county for the last decade. Smuggling, money laundering, whole network of people on his payroll, judges, cops, county officials. Tommy worked for him, transport driver. Thought it was just freight until he opened the wrong container. Why didn't he go to the police? Garrett laughed, bitter. Who do you think signs off on Langston's shipments? Who do you think looks the other way when containers disappear? Your brother tried going to the FBI. They told him they needed more evidence. He was gathering it when he died. Ryan's hands were shaking. He pressed them flat against the table. Why are you telling me this? Because Langston thinks you have what Tommy collected. He doesn't know what it is or where it is, but he knows Tommy had family, and he knows you're the only one left who might have inherited it. That's why the legal case. He's trying to back you into a corner where you'll deal. The dinner invitation is him being polite before he stops being polite. I don't have anything. Thomas and I hadn't talked in months before he died. Langston doesn't believe that. Garrett pushed a napkin across the table. Phone number written in blue ink. You need to disappear. Take your kid and go. I know people who can help. I'm not running. Then you're dying. Garrett stood, dropped a 10 on the table, walked out without looking back. Ryan sat there until his coffee went cold, staring at the napkin with the number he knew he wouldn't call. Running meant giving up, meant letting them win, meant teaching Emma that when powerful people come for you, you fold. He thought about Thomas. Thought about 18 months of thinking his brother had gotten drunk and stupid. 18 months of guilt for not being there, for not answering the calls, for letting their relationship die over a fight about money he couldn't even remember the details of anymore. If they killed him. If they really killed him. Ryan drove home through streets that suddenly felt foreign. Every car behind him could be following. Every shadow held weight. He paid Mrs. Hendricks, checked Emma, asleep, peaceful, her hand curled under her chin like it had been since she was 3. He stood in her doorway, watching her breathe. Then he went to his bedroom and pulled down the box from the top of the closet. The box held what was left of Thomas. Not much. Some old photos. A watch that had stopped working. Papers from the estate settlement. The house had been mortgaged to hell, sold for barely enough to cover debts. A key ring with keys Ryan had never identified. And at the bottom, a postcard. Thomas had sent it 6 weeks before he died. Front showed some generic mountain vista. Back had 3 sentences in Thomas's cramped handwriting. If anything happens, storage unit 247, East Valley. Self-storage. Code is Emma's birthday. Love you, brother. Ryan had thought it was paranoia. Thomas had always been dramatic. Always seen conspiracies, always worried about something. Ryan had put the postcard in the box and forgotten about it. Until now. He turned the key ring over in his hand. One of the keys had 247 stamped on it. He didn't sleep. He lay in bed watching the ceiling fan turn, running through scenarios. If Thomas had collected evidence, if that evidence was in a storage unit, if Langston knew or suspected, if Ryan went there, he'd be confirming he had it. But if he didn't go, he'd never know what his brother had died for. Morning came gray and cold. He got Emma up, made her breakfast, drove her to school on autopilot. She chattered about a field trip next week. He made appropriate noises. At the school entrance, she hugged him harder than usual. "You okay, Dad?" "Just tired." He kissed her forehead. "Love you." "Love you more." He watched her run inside, ponytail swinging, told himself he was doing this for her, told himself he had a choice. East Valley Self-Storage was 20 minutes outside town, row after row of orange doors behind chain-link fence. Ryan used the code at the gate, Emma's birthday, and the gate rolled open. He drove through feeling like he was crossing some kind of border he couldn't return from. Unit 247 was in the back corner, no neighbors. He parked, got out, stood there with the key in his hand. His breath made clouds in the cold air. He put the key in the lock. Inside was mostly empty. A few boxes, a filing cabinet, and on top of the cabinet, a shoebox. Ryan opened it. Photographs, dozens of them. Shipping containers being loaded in the dark. Men in suits standing next to trucks, license plates, warehouse exteriors. And paperwork. Manifests, invoices, ledgers in Thomas's careful handwriting. Names, dates, routes, amounts. And in the bottom of the box, a USB drive. Ryan's hands shook as he picked it up. This was what Thomas had died for. This was what Langston wanted. This was the evidence that could bring down an empire built on the backs of everyone too small to fight back. He put everything back in the box, locked the unit, drove away. Didn't go home. Didn't go to the yard. He drove to the library, used a public computer, plugged in the drive. The files opened. 2 hours later, Ryan sat in his truck in the library parking lot with his head against the steering wheel, his stomach trying to crawl out of his throat. Thomas had documented everything, every shipment, every payoff, every name, judges, prosecutors, police chiefs, county supervisors, state representatives, a network of corruption that went deeper than Ryan had imagined possible. And at the center of it all, Victor Langston. His phone rang. The number from yesterday. Miranda Cross. He answered. "Mr. Cole, I'm calling to confirm your attendance at dinner this evening. Mr. Langston is very much looking forward to meeting you." Ryan's voice came out steady, surprising himself. "I'll be there." "Excellent. The estate is at 1847 Riverside Drive. Security will have your name. Please arrive promptly at 7. She paused. "Mr. Langston appreciates punctuality." "I'm sure he does." He hung up, sat there, thought about Emma at school, Emma at home, Emma safe, thought about running, thought about Garrett's offer, thought about what kind of man he wanted his daughter to grow up remembering. Then he called the one person he knew who might understand. Elena Hart answered on the third ring. "Hello? Mrs. Hart? This is Ryan Cole, Thomas's brother." Silence. Then, "I know who you are. I need to talk to you. It's about Thomas." "Thomas is dead. I know. I think you know how. I think you know why. And I think you know what Victor Langston is." The silence stretched. Ryan counted his heartbeats. "Where are you?" Elena's voice had changed, lower, careful. "Library parking lot, main branch." "Stay there. I'm coming to you." She arrived 30 minutes later in a black Mercedes that cost more than Ryan's house. Elena Hart was 30, widow of his brother, CEO, of a tech company Ryan had never understood. She wore a gray suit that probably cost more than his truck. She got in the passenger seat and closed the door. "Show me." Ryan handed her the USB drive. Elena turned it over in her hand, her face unreadable. "Where did you get this?" "Storage unit. Thomas left me a key." "Have you made copies?" "No." "Do you understand what's on here?" "Enough." Elena stared through the windshield. Ryan waited. "Victor Langston killed your brother," she said finally. "I can't prove it, but I know it. Thomas came to me 2 weeks before he died, said he had evidence, said he was going to the FBI. I told him to be careful. I told him Langston had people everywhere. He said he knew what he was doing." Her voice cracked. He didn't. Why didn't you go to the police? Because I have a daughter. Because I know what Langston does to people who threaten him. Because I'm a coward. She looked at him. You're not a coward, but you're going to get killed being brave. He invited me to dinner. I know. He wants to find out if you have this. If you do, he'll offer you money to keep quiet. If you refuse, you'll have an accident. If you give it to him, you'll have an accident anyway, because you're a loose end. So what do I do? Elena reached into her purse, pulled out a small velvet box. You don't go alone. Inside the box was a key, small, silver, old-fashioned. Safety deposit box, Elena said. First National Bank downtown, box 1847. Everything I have on Langston is in there. Documents Thomas gave me, information I've collected since, my testimony, everything. She pressed it into his hand. If something happens to you tonight, make sure someone you trust gets this key. Make sure they know what to do with it. Why are you doing this? Because I loved your brother. Because I'm tired of being afraid. And because if you're going to walk into that house tonight, you deserve to know you're not alone. She got out of the truck, walked back to her Mercedes, drove away. Ryan sat there holding the key, feeling its weight. He picked up Emma at 3:30. She bounced into the truck, chattering about science class. They stopped for pizza. Ryan watched her eat, memorizing her face, the way she scrunched her nose when she laughed, the smudge of sauce on her chin. Dad, you're being weird. Just thinking. About what? About how lucky I am. She rolled her eyes. You're supposed to say that. Doesn't make it not true. At home, he helped her with homework. They watched a movie. He tucked her into bed at 8, reading an extra chapter even though it was a school night. She fell asleep mid-sentence, her hand in his. He stood in her doorway for a long time. Then he called Mrs. Hendricks, got dressed, dark jeans, clean shirt, his one decent jacket. He looked at himself in the mirror and saw a man preparing for a funeral. Maybe his own. He put the USB drive in his pocket, put Elena's key in his other pocket, wrote a note, short, simple, names and places, sealed it in an envelope, left it on the kitchen counter with Mrs. Hendricks's name on it, instructions to open it if he didn't come back by morning. The drive to Riverside Drive took 20 minutes. Langston's estate sat behind stone walls and iron gates, the kind of old money that looked like it had always been there. The guard at the gate checked a clipboard, waved him through. The driveway wound through manicured grounds, past fountains and gardens lit with soft lights. The house was a mansion, Georgian columns, 3 stories, windows blazing. Ryan parked next to cars that cost 6 figures, got out, stood there with his heart hammering. The door opened before he could knock. Miranda Cross stood there, perfectly composed. Mr. Cole, please, come in. Inside smelled like furniture polish and old books. The foyer had marble floors, a chandelier, a staircase that curved up to darkness. Miranda led him through hallways lined with paintings, into a study with wood paneling and leather chairs. Victor Langston stood by the fireplace. He was 60, maybe 65, silver hair swept back, wearing a cardigan and slacks like someone's grandfather. He smiled. Ryan, may I call you Ryan? Please sit. Drink? No. Suit yourself. Langston poured himself scotch from a crystal decanter. Thank you, Miranda. That'll be all. Miranda left, closing the door. Ryan stood there. Sit, please. You're making me nervous. Langston settled into a chair. I imagine you're wondering why I asked you here. I know why. Langston's eyebrows rose. Do you? Enlighten me. You think I have something that belonged to my brother. Ah, direct. I appreciate that. Langston swirled his drink. Your brother was a complicated man, bright, curious, perhaps too curious. He worked for me. Did you know that? I know. Then you know he had access to certain sensitive information that in the wrong hands could cause significant problems for a great many people. People like you, Langston smiled. People like me. Ryan, I'm going to be frank with you. Your brother took something that didn't belong to him. Documents. Evidence. Whatever you want to call it. Before he died, I believe he stored that material somewhere safe. And I believe he told you where. He didn't. Please don't insult my intelligence. Langston's voice hardened. You received a legal notice yesterday. That notice will destroy you, your business, your home, your ability to provide for your daughter. I can make it disappear. I can make you wealthy. All I need is what your brother took." Ryan's mouth was dry. "And if I don't have it? Then we have a problem, because I'm a reasonable man, Ryan, but I'm also a careful man, and careful men don't leave loose ends." The threat hung in the air like smoke. "My brother," Ryan said. "The drowning. That wasn't an accident." Langston's face showed nothing. "Your brother made poor choices. Drank too much. Went swimming alone. Tragic. You killed him." "I did nothing of the sort. Your brother's death was investigated thoroughly. The sheriff's department found no evidence of foul play. Case closed." Langston leaned forward. "But let's say, hypothetically, that your brother's death was not accidental. Let's say he had angered certain people, made certain threats. In that scenario, those certain people would be very motivated to ensure that whatever evidence existed never saw the light of day. Very motivated. Do you understand what I'm saying?" Ryan understood. His hands were clenched so tight his nails cut into his palms. "I have a daughter," he said. "I know. Emma, 8 years old, attends Millerton Elementary, Mrs. Patterson's class, likes pink, wants to be a veterinarian." Langston's smile never touched his eyes. "Beautiful child. You must be very proud." The room tilted. Ryan was on his feet before he knew he'd moved, hands balled into fists. Langston didn't flinch. "Sit down, Ryan. I'm not threatening your daughter. I'm simply pointing out that you have something precious to protect. Something more important than pride or principle. Your brother chose principle. Look where it got him." Ryan sat. His legs wouldn't hold him. "Smart man." Langston finished his scotch. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to go home. You're going to think very carefully about your priorities. Tomorrow, you're going to call Miranda and tell her you'd like to make a deal. You'll give me what I want. I'll give you money, say $500,000. Enough to start over somewhere nice. The legal case disappears. You and Emma live happily ever after. Everyone wins. And if I refuse, then accidents happen. Houses catch fire, brakes fail, children wander off. These things are tragedies, but they happen every day." Langston stood. "I don't want that, Ryan. I'm not a monster, but I am a survivor, and I will do what's necessary to protect myself." He walked to the door, opened it. Miranda waited outside. "Think about it," Langston said. "You have until tomorrow evening. After that, my offer expires." Ryan walked out on legs that felt like water. Miranda escorted him through the halls, out the front door, into the cold night air. He got in his truck, started the engine, drove through the gates, made it half a mile before he had to pull over and throw up. He sat on the side of the road shaking, headlights passing, the taste of bile in his mouth. He'd walked into the lion's den, and the lion had smiled and showed him teeth and told him exactly how it would devour him. And Emma's name in that monster's mouth. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. "You're alive. Good." Garrett's voice. "Was that stupid enough for you?" "He threatened my daughter." "Of course he did. That's how he operates. You threaten what people love, they fold. Works every time." "Not every time." "What's that supposed to mean?" Ryan pulled back onto the road, driving too fast, not caring. "It means I'm done being scared. It means my brother died trying to take this bastard down, and I'm going to finish what he started." "That's suicide." "Maybe, but I'm not giving him that USB drive, and I'm not running. So unless you've got a better option, I'm done talking." He hung up, drove home, checked on Emma, still asleep, still safe. Stood in his kitchen staring at the envelope he'd left on the counter. Thought about what Thomas would do, what Thomas had tried to do. Then he sat down at his laptop and started researching FBI field offices. He worked until 3 in the morning, mapping out everything Thomas had documented, cross-referencing names, building a case that even corrupt officials couldn't ignore. When he finally fell asleep at his kitchen table, he dreamed of his brother drowning, reaching up through dark water, mouth open in a silent scream. He woke to Emma shaking his shoulder. "Dad, why are you sleeping here?" Fell asleep working. His back felt like broken glass. "What time is it?" 7:30. "I'm going to be late." He got her to school by the skin of his teeth, came home to 3 missed calls from Miranda Cross. He didn't call back. Instead, he drove to First National Bank downtown, used Elena's key to access the safety deposit box. Inside was everything Elena had promised: documents, photographs, a signed statement, and something else. A letter, addressed to him. Ryan, if you're reading this, something has happened. I should have been braver. I should have fought. But I have a daughter too, and fear makes cowards of us all. This evidence is yours now. Do what Thomas would have wanted. Do what's right. But please, protect my daughter. Whatever happens, protect Lily. Elena. Ryan stood there in the bank's private room with the weight of two dead men's hopes in his hands and a living woman's fear. He took photographs of everything with his phone, made copies, put the originals back, left the bank. His phone rang. Miranda Cross again. He answered. Mr. Cole, Mr. Langston is concerned he hasn't heard from you. Tell Mr. Langston I'm still thinking. He doesn't appreciate being kept waiting. He can appreciate whatever he wants. I need more time. Time is something you don't have. Mr. Langston expects your answer by 5 o'clock today. If he doesn't hear from you by then, he'll consider negotiations concluded. The line went dead. Ryan sat in his truck watching people walk in and out of the bank, living their normal lives, unaware that under their feet a war was being fought. He thought about Elena, hiding in fear, about Thomas, dying for truth, about Emma, depending on him. Then he made a call. The FBI field office was in Greenville, 40 minutes away. Special Agent Sarah Chen listened to his story for 30 minutes without interrupting. When he finished, she sat back in her chair. This is a serious accusation, Mr. Cole. I have evidence. I'd like to see it. He showed her the photographs, the documents, the USB drive. She went through everything with professional calm, her face showing nothing. When she finished, she folded her hands on the desk. If what you're alleging is true, this is a significant criminal enterprise. We'd need to verify everything before taking action. How long? Weeks? Maybe months? These things take time. I don't have months. I have hours. Mr. Cole, he threatened my daughter. Ryan's voice broke. He killed my brother. He's giving me until 5 o'clock today to surrender this evidence, or he's going to hurt my daughter. I need help now. Chen's expression softened slightly. I understand your fear, but we can't act without proper evidence gathering. We need warrants. We need to build a case that will hold up in court. So what am I supposed to do? Go home. Protect your daughter. Let us handle this. Ryan stood. My brother came to you. You told him the same thing. He's dead now. Mr. Cole, he walked out, got in his truck, drove away with his hands shaking so hard he could barely hold the wheel. The FBI couldn't help. Wouldn't help. Not in time. He was alone. Except he wasn't. He pulled over, took out his phone, dialed the number from Garrett's napkin. Garrett answered immediately. Tell me you didn't do something stupid. I went to the FBI. Christ, what did they say? They need time. Time you don't have. I know. Ryan's throat was tight. You said you knew people who could help. I'm ready to listen. Silence. Then, meet me. Same diner. 1 hour. Garrett was already there when Ryan arrived. Same booth, same worn leather jacket. Ryan slid in across from him. You look like hell, Garrett said. Feel like it too. Tell me exactly what Langston said last night. Ryan repeated the conversation. Garrett listened with the same flat expression, nodding occasionally. Okay, Garrett said when Ryan finished. Here's the situation. Langston doesn't know for sure you have the evidence. He suspects. He's applying pressure to force you to either produce it or reveal you don't have it. The deadline is artificial. He's trying to panic you into making mistakes. My daughter is his leverage, not his target. Yet. Langston's smart. He knows hurting kids brings heat he doesn't want. He'll threaten, but he won't act unless you force him to. That's supposed to make me feel better? It's supposed to make you think clearly. Garrett leaned forward. You've got evidence. The FBI won't move fast enough. So you need to make Langston believe you don't have it while you figure out how to use it. How? You call Miranda Cross. You tell her you searched everywhere, talked to everyone, but Thomas didn't leave you anything. You're willing to sign a statement to that effect in exchange for the legal case going away. He won't believe me. He might not, but it buys time, and time is what you need. Ryan's phone buzzed. Text message. Unknown number. He opened it. The photograph showed Emma's school, Wide shot of the playground, his daughter visible in the background playing with friends. No message, just the image. Ryan's vision grayed at the edges. The phone slipped from his hand. Garrett caught it, looked at the screen, swore. Okay, new plan. Where's your daughter right now? School. Pull her out. Now. Today. Then disappear for a few days while I make some calls. Disappear where? I know a place. Cabin in the mountains. No cell service. Completely off-grid. You take your daughter there and you don't come out until I tell you it's safe. What about you? I'm going to have a conversation with some people who owe me favors. People who can apply pressure Langston won't see coming. Garrett pulled out a map, marked a location. Here. Keys are under the mat. There's food, water, everything you need. Stay there. Don't contact anyone. I'll come get you when it's over. Ryan stared at the map, running, again. But what choice did he have? How do I know I can trust you? Garrett's face was stone. Because your brother trusted me, and because if I wanted you dead, you'd already be dead. Fair point. Ryan took the map, stood, walked out, got in his truck, drove to Emma's school with his heart trying to punch through his ribs, signed her out early, citing a family emergency. She protested. She had art class, but fell silent when she saw his face. Dad? What's wrong? Nothing, sweetheart. We're going on an adventure. What kind of adventure? The kind where we stay in a cabin in the woods for a few days. No school, no schedules. Just you and me. Her eyes lit up despite her worry. Really? Really? They stopped at home long enough to pack bags. Ryan grabbed Emma's stuffed bear, her favorite books, extra clothes, threw his own things together without thinking. As he locked the door, his phone rang. Miranda Cross. He answered. Mr. Cole, it's 4:45. Mr. Langston is waiting for your answer. Tell Mr. Langston I don't have what he's looking for. My brother didn't leave me anything. I searched everywhere. There's nothing. Mr. Langston doesn't believe you. That's his problem. No, Mr. Cole, it's yours. He's withdrawing his offer. Effective immediately. You're on your own. The line went dead. Ryan stood there on his porch, Emma in the truck waiting, the weight of what he'd just done settling over him like cold water. He'd declared war on a man who killed without hesitation. He'd put his daughter in danger. He'd crossed a line he couldn't uncross. He got in the truck, started the engine, looked at Emma strapped into the passenger seat, her bear clutched to her chest, trust in her eyes. Where are we going, Dad? Somewhere safe. Are we running away? He almost lied, then decided she deserved better. Yeah, sweetheart, we're running away, but just for a little while, just until the bad men stop looking. What bad men? The ones who hurt Uncle Thomas. Emma's face went pale. She was 8, but she understood. She reached over and took his hand. We'll be okay, Dad. We've got each other. Ryan squeezed her hand, his throat too tight to speak. Then he pulled out of the driveway and drove north, toward the mountains, toward the cabin marked on Garrett's map, toward whatever came next. Behind them, Millerton County grew small in the rearview mirror. Ahead, the road stretched dark and uncertain. And somewhere in the space between, Victor Langston smiled and made a phone call, and men who did terrible things for money started their engines and began to hunt. The cabin was 3 hours into mountains Ryan had never bothered to visit before, up a logging road that turned to dirt, and then to something barely wider than a trail. Emma fell asleep against the window somewhere past the second hour, her bear tucked under her chin, her breath fogging the glass. Ryan drove with both hands locked on the wheel, checking the mirror every 30 seconds, even though no headlights had followed them since they left the highway. The cabin appeared around a bend just as the sun started dropping behind the ridgeline. Small, dark wood, windows like closed eyes. Garrett had been right about one thing. It was isolated. The nearest structure Ryan had seen was a burned-out hunting shack 15 miles back. He killed the engine and sat there listening to the silence. Emma stirred, blinking. Are we here? Yeah, sweetheart. We're here. She peered through the windshield at the cabin, skepticism clear on her face. It's kind of creepy. It's an adventure, remember? Adventures are supposed to be fun. This one will be, I promise. The key was under the mat like Garrett said. Inside smelled like old pine and mouse droppings. Ryan found a switch and light flooded the main room, Single space with a kitchenette, a wood stove, a couch that had seen better decades. 2 doors led to what he assumed were a bedroom and bathroom. Emma wrinkled her nose. It smells weird. We'll air it out. Ryan tested the couch. Springs complained but held. You hungry? Kinda. The kitchenette had canned goods in the cupboard, a propane camping stove on the counter. Ryan heated up soup while Emma explored, reporting back on her findings. Bedroom with bunk beds, bathroom with a shower that looked questionable. No TV, no internet, not even a radio. She delivered this last piece of news like it was a personal betrayal. What are we supposed to do? Talk, play games, be together? Ryan poured soup into mismatched bowls. When's the last time we did that? She thought about it. Christmas? That was 4 months ago. I know. She climbed onto a stool. You're always working. The words hit harder than they should have. Ryan set the bowl in front of her, watched her blow on the soup, saw his brother in the shape of her face. Thomas had said the same thing once. You're always working, always busy, never time for family. Ryan had gotten defensive, said bills didn't pay themselves. They'd fought. Ryan couldn't remember making it right before Thomas died. I'm sorry, he said. Emma looked up. For what? For always working. For not being around more. She shrugged. You're here now. Such simple forgiveness. Ryan's throat ached. They ate in silence, broken only by the wind pushing against the windows. Afterward, Emma wanted to explore outside, but Ryan said no, said it was getting dark, said they'd explore tomorrow. She pouted, but didn't push. He got her settled in the top bunk with her bear and a book he found on a shelf. Something about horses. Read to her until her eyes drooped. Dad? Yeah? Are we safe here? He wanted to lie. Wanted to tell her everything was fine, nothing to worry about. The bad men would never find them. But she was 8 and scared and deserved better than comfortable lies. I hope so, sweetheart. I'm doing everything I can to keep us safe. Okay. She rolled toward the wall, clutching her bear. Love you. Love you more. He stayed until she fell asleep, then retreated to the main room. Checked his phone. No signal like Garrett promised. Checked the windows, checked the door. Built a fire in the wood stove because the temperature was dropping and the cabin had no heat. Sat on the couch staring at flames, trying not to think about all the ways this could go wrong. His phone buzzed. He jumped, then realized it was still trying to find signal, cycling through carriers. Useless. He turned it off to save battery. The fire crackled. Wind moaned through the trees. Ryan closed his eyes and immediately saw Emma's school in that photograph, the threat implicit in every pixel. Saw Victor Langston smile. Heard Miranda Cross's voice telling him he was on his own. He'd made his choice. Now he had to live with it, or die with it. Sleep came in fragments, punctuated by sounds that might have been threats, or might have been wind. Ryan woke before dawn to gray light filtering through windows, and Emma still asleep upstairs. He added wood to the stove, made instant coffee with water from a hand pump outside, stood on the porch watching the forest wake up. Beautiful out here. Quiet in a way that made Millerton County seem like another planet. For a moment, Ryan let himself imagine staying, teaching Emma to fish in whatever creek fed the valley below, homeschooling her from books, living off the grid where Langston's reach couldn't find them. Then reality reasserted itself. You couldn't run forever. You couldn't hide your whole life. Eventually money ran out, or winter came, or someone saw something they shouldn't have seen, and Emma deserved better than a childhood spent looking over her shoulder. No. Running was temporary. What Ryan needed was permanent. He needed Langston in prison or dead. Emma emerged around 8, hair tangled, still wearing yesterday's clothes. Ryan made her eggs on the camp stove, watched her eat without complaint, even though they tasted like propane. Afterward, she wanted to explore. Ryan agreed on the condition they stay within sight of the cabin. They walked the perimeter, Emma collecting pine cones and interesting rocks, chattering about a squirrel she saw. Normal kid things. Ryan kept one eye on the tree line, listening for engines or voices or anything that didn't belong. Heard nothing but birds and wind. By noon, Emma was bored. No TV, no internet, no friends. Ryan found a deck of cards and taught her poker. She picked it up fast, started winning more than she should have. Reminded him of Thomas, who'd been scary good at cards. Ryan had accused him of counting. Thomas had just smiled. Dad? Emma set down a full house, grinning. Why did those men hurt Uncle Thomas? Ryan's hand stopped mid-shuffle. What? You said the bad men hurt him. Why? He'd hoped to avoid this conversation. Should have known better. Emma was smart, too smart, and she'd been listening. Your uncle found out some people were doing bad things. He tried to stop them. They didn't like that. What kind of bad things? Stealing, lying, hurting people to make money. Emma frowned. Why didn't he tell the police? He did. They didn't believe him. That's stupid. Yeah, it is. She gathered up the cards, started shuffling like he'd taught her. Are you trying to stop them too? Ryan met her eyes, saw trust there and fear underneath it. Yeah. Are they going to hurt you? I won't let them. Uncle Thomas didn't let them either, but they hurt him anyway. The cards felt heavy in Ryan's hands. I'm being more careful than your uncle was. Promise? Promise. She nodded, apparently satisfied, and dealt another hand. But Ryan saw the way her shoulders stayed tight, the way she kept glancing at the windows. She was 8. She shouldn't have to be afraid. She should be worried about homework and whether boys liked her and if she'd make the soccer team. Instead, she was hiding in a cabin in the mountains because her father had declared war on a man who killed people. Some father. The afternoon dragged. Emma napped. Ryan paced. Checked windows. Checked the door. Walked the perimeter again. Saw nothing. Heard nothing. Felt exposed anyway. The isolation that had seemed like safety now felt like a trap. If someone found them out here, there was nowhere to run. His phone stayed off. No way to contact Garrett. No way to know what was happening back in Millerton County. For all Ryan knew, the FBI had raided Langston's estate and arrested everyone. Or Langston had skipped town. Or nothing had happened and Ryan was sitting in a cabin playing cards while his life collapsed. Emma woke cranky, complained about being hungry even though they'd just eaten. Ryan heated more soup. She picked at it. I want to go home. Soon. When soon? I don't know, sweetheart. I hate this. She pushed the bowl away. I hate being here. I hate that we have to hide. I hate that Uncle Thomas is dead and you're scared even though you won't say it. Ryan opened his mouth, closed it. She was right, about all of it. I'm sorry, he said. Stop saying you're sorry. Her eyes filled. Just fix it. I'm trying. Try harder. She ran to the bedroom, slammed the door. Ryan sat at the kitchenette table listening to her cry through the wall, feeling like the worst father in history. He dragged her into this, put her in danger, taken her away from her life, her friends, everything familiar. And for what? Pride? Revenge? Some misguided sense of justice? Maybe Sarah had been right to leave. Maybe he really was too damaged to be a parent. He gave Emma space until the crying stopped, then knocked softly. Can I come in? Silence. Then, okay. She lay on the bottom bunk curled around her bare, face red and splotchy. Ryan sat on the edge of the mattress. I know this is scary. I know you want to go home. So do I. Then why don't we? Because the bad men are looking for us there. If we go back before it's safe, they'll find us. So we just hide forever? No, just until I figure out how to make them stop. How are you going to do that from here? Good question. Ryan didn't have a good answer. I have people helping me, he said. They're working on it right now. What people? Friends of your uncle. Can we trust them? Another good question. Ryan had trusted Garrett because he'd had no choice. But did he really know the man? Did he really know what Garrett's agenda was? I hope so, Ryan said. Emma sat up, wiped her face. I'm scared, Dad. Me too. You're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say everything's fine. Would you believe me if I did? She shook her head. Then I won't lie. He pulled her into a hug. She wrapped her arms around him, small and warm and trusting despite everything. We're going to get through this. I promise you. We're going to get through this and go home and things are going to be better. How do you know? Because the alternative is unacceptable. She pulled back, looked at him. What does that mean? It means I'm not letting them win. Not this time. Evening came with clouds that promised rain. Ryan heated chili for dinner, found crackers that were only slightly stale. Emma ate mechanically, still withdrawn. He tried to draw her out with questions about school, about friends, about anything normal. She answered in monosyllables. After dinner, she asked if they could play cards again. Ryan dealt. They played gin rummy while the wind picked up and the first drops hit the roof. Emma won 3 hands in a row, started to smile again. Small victories. Thunder rolled across the mountains. Emma jumped. "It's just a storm," Ryan said. "I know. I'm not a baby." But she moved closer anyway, and when lightning flashed, she flinched. The storm built fast, rain hammering the roof, wind rattling the windows. Ryan added wood to the stove. The power had never been on, but somehow the cabin felt darker with the storm raging outside. Emma pressed against his side. "Will we be okay in here?" "We'll be fine. It's just weather." "What if a tree falls on us?" "Then we'll have a very interesting story to tell." She didn't laugh. The storm intensified, rain coming sideways now, thunder close enough to shake the walls. Ryan held Emma and tried to project calm he didn't feel. The cabin was old, the roof probably leaked, and they were miles from any help if something went wrong. But nothing went wrong. The storm raged for an hour and then moved on, leaving silence in its wake. Emma fell asleep against Ryan's shoulder. He carried her to the bedroom, tucked her into the bottom bunk this time, closer to the ground where she felt safer. Stood there watching her sleep until his back hurt, then went back to the main room and paced. 2 days. They'd been here 2 days and Ryan was already climbing the walls. How long was this supposed to last? When would Garrett come back? What was happening in Millerton County? Had the legal notice been rescinded? Had Langston made a move? Had the FBI done anything? No way to know. No way to contact anyone. Just waiting and wondering and feeling helpless. Ryan hated feeling helpless. He checked his phone even though he knew it was useless. Still no signal. He turned it on anyway, watched it cycle through carriers, felt pathetic for hoping. The battery was at 60%. He turned it off again, stood at the window staring into darkness. Rain dripped from the eaves. Somewhere in the forest an animal screamed. Everything felt wrong. Exposed. Like sitting in the middle of a target painted on the ground. He was going to lose his mind if they stayed here much longer. Morning came gray and wet. Emma woke cranky again, complained about her hair, about the cold, about the food. Ryan tried to be patient, tried to remember she was 8 and scared, and this wasn't her fault. But his own fear made patience hard. "Can we go outside?" she asked after breakfast. "It's muddy." "So? I'll wash my shoes." "Fine, stay close." They walked the perimeter again. Everything looked different after rain, greener, darker. The forest dripped and steamed as the sun tried to break through clouds. Emma found a puddle and stomped in it, splashing mud. Ryan didn't have the heart to stop her. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, stared at the screen. 1 bar. Weak signal, probably from the moisture in the air or the storm clearing interference. But there, 7 missed calls, all from the same number. Garrett, and 3 text messages. The first, "Call me immediately." The second, "Situation has changed, not safe. Call me." The third, "If you get this, move, now. They found you." Ryan's blood went cold. He looked around the clearing, seeing it suddenly as Langston would see it. Isolated, trapped, only one road in or out. "Emma, inside, now." "But we just, now." Something in his voice made her move. She ran for the cabin. Ryan followed, scanning the tree line, listening for engines. Heard nothing but his pulse hammering. Inside, he locked the door, pulled the curtains. Emma stood in the middle of the room, watching him with wide eyes. "What's wrong?" "We have to go." "Why?" "Because it's not safe here anymore." "How do you know?" Ryan held up the phone. "I got a message. The bad men know where we are." Emma's face went white. "Are they coming?" "I don't know. Maybe." Ryan grabbed their bags from the bedroom, started shoving in their things. "Get your bear. Get your jacket. Fast." She moved like he'd lit her on fire, gathering her stuff. Ryan threw everything into the truck, came back for one last check. No sign of anyone. Yet. But if Garrett said they'd been found, Ryan believed him. "Let's go, sweetheart." Emma climbed into the passenger seat, clutching her bear. Ryan started the engine, pulled out fast enough to throw gravel. The dirt road stretched ahead, winding through trees, no visibility beyond the next turn. His hands ached from gripping the wheel. "Dad, you're going too fast." "I know." What if someone's coming the other way? Then we'll deal with it. They hit the logging road doing 40 on dirt that probably topped out safely at 20. The truck bounced and slid. Emma braced herself against the dashboard. Ryan kept accelerating. A mile in, he saw them. 2 trucks blocking the road, men standing beside them. 4 men, all armed. Ryan hit the brakes. The truck slid, fishtailed, stopped 30 feet short. Emma screamed. The men raised their weapons. "Get down," Ryan said. "On the floor, now." Emma dove. Ryan threw the truck in reverse, stood on the gas. Gunfire cracked. The windshield spiderwebbed. Ryan ducked, steering blind, praying. The truck slammed into something. Tree, rock, didn't matter. He shifted to forward, cranked the wheel, found a gap between trees barely wider than the truck. "Hold on!" They crashed through undergrowth, branches screaming against metal. The truck bounced over rocks and roots, tilted, almost rolled. Emma was crying. Ryan kept the accelerator down. Behind them, engines roared. The forest opened into a ravine. Ryan saw it too late, tried to brake, couldn't. The truck went over, fell 10 feet, hit bottom hard enough to deploy the airbags. Ryan's head snapped forward, cracked against something. White light, pain. Emma was screaming his name. "I'm okay." Blood in his mouth. "You okay?" "I think so." The truck's engine ticked. Ryan shoved the deflating airbag away, tried his door. Stuck, tried again. It groaned open. He crawled out, pulled Emma after him. The truck was wedged between boulders at the bottom of the ravine, steam rising from the hood. Above them, engines. Voices. The men were coming. "Run," Ryan said. "I can't." "Yes, you can. Run." He grabbed her hand and they ran, stumbling through the ravine, following water that meant eventual downhill. Behind them, voices called out, "Closer." The ravine narrowed. Ryan pushed Emma ahead, glanced back, saw movement on the ridge. Something cracked past his ear. Gunfire. He shoved Emma down behind a boulder. "Stay here. Stay quiet." "Dad!" "Do what I say." He ran back the way they'd come, making noise, drawing fire. Bullets chewed up rock. Ryan dove behind a deadfall, rolled, kept moving. Led them away from Emma. Away from his daughter. Someone shouted. Ryan changed direction, scrambling up the ravine wall, grabbing roots and rocks. Something punched his shoulder, spun him around. He fell, rolled, crashed into brush. His shoulder screamed. Wet warmth spread down his arm. Shot. He'd been shot. Ryan stumbled to his feet, kept moving. The forest swallowed him. Behind, the voices faded. He'd lost them, or they'd given up, or they were circling back to the ravine where Emma was hiding. Emma. He had to get back to Emma. Ryan turned, tried to orient himself. Everything looked the same, trees and rocks and undergrowth. Blood ran down his arm, dripped from his fingertips. His head felt light. Shock, maybe. Or blood loss. He needed to find Emma, needed to get her out, needed to... Someone stepped out in front of him. Not one of Langston's men. Older. Gray hair. Carrying a rifle but not pointing it. "You're Ryan Cole," the man said. Ryan swayed. "Who are you?" "Someone who's been watching Langston's people stumble around my mountain for the last 2 hours. The man lowered the rifle. "You're bleeding." "My daughter..." "Boulder in the ravine, I saw. She's fine. They haven't found her." "How do you..." "Because I've been tracking them since they passed my property line. Come on. We need to move before they double back." The man started walking. Ryan followed because he had no other options. They moved through the forest fast, the man navigating with the ease of someone who knew every tree. Ryan stumbled, caught himself, kept going. His shoulder throbbed with each heartbeat. 10 minutes later, they reached Emma's hiding place. She screamed when she saw Ryan, blood-soaked and pale. The man put a finger to his lips. "Quiet. They're close." Emma grabbed Ryan's good arm. The man led them deeper into the forest, up a slope Ryan couldn't have managed alone, through deadfall and brush that seemed impassable. 30 minutes of climbing. Ryan's vision started to gray at the edges. They emerged at a cabin, bigger than Garrett's, better maintained. The man opened the door, ushered them inside, locked it behind them. "Bathroom's through there," he said to Emma. "Get your dad cleaned up. I'll keep watch." Emma pulled Ryan into a small bathroom. Her hands shook as she helped him out of his jacket. The bullet had gone through the meat of his shoulder. missing bone. Painful, but not fatal. She cleaned it with supplies from a medicine cabinet while Ryan gritted his teeth. "You're going to be okay," she said, voice steady even though tears ran down her face. "You're going to be okay, Dad." "I know, sweetheart." She bandaged him with surprising competence. Something she'd learned in school, maybe. Or from watching TV. Ryan didn't ask. When she finished, she wrapped her arms around his waist and held on. "I thought they killed you." "Takes more than that." "Don't joke, it's not funny." "You're right. I'm sorry." The man appeared in the doorway. "They're moving off, going back to search the ravine. We've got time, but not much. Name's Jack, by the way. Jack Morrison." "Thank you," Ryan said, "for helping us." "Don't thank me yet. Langston's men know you're in this area. They'll search every cabin, every trail. You can't stay here." "Where can we go?" Jack studied him. "Tell me something first. You really have evidence against Langston?" "Yes." "Proof of what he's been doing?" "Yes." "Where is it?" Ryan hesitated. Jack smiled without humor. "Son, if I worked for Langston, you'd be dead already. Where's the evidence?" "Bank, safety deposit box, First National, downtown Millerton." Jack nodded slowly. "And you're the only one who knows?" "No, there's a woman, Elena Hart, and a man named Garrett." "Garrett?" Jack's expression changed. "Garrett Quinn? I don't know his last name." "Stocky guy? Looks like he's been through hell?" "Yeah, that's Quinn. He was one of Langston's enforcers until about 5 years ago. Quit after Langston ordered him to kill someone's kid to make a point. Good man in a bad situation." Jack moved to the window, checked outside. "He's the one who told you about this cabin?" "Yeah." "Then he sold you out." The words hit like a fist. Ryan stared. "What?" "Only way Langston's men found you this fast. Quinn's the only one who knew where you were. He gave you up." "Why would he?" "Because Langston owns people. Always has. Quinn probably thought he was out, thought he was clean, but nobody gets out from under Langston. Not really." Jack turned from the window. "Question is, what do we do about it?" Emma pressed closer to Ryan's side. "Are we going to die?" "No," Jack said. "Not if I can help it." "Why are you helping us?" Ryan asked. Jack's face hardened. "Because Langston killed my daughter." The silence stretched. Outside wind moved through trees. 8 years ago, Jack continued, she was a prosecutor. Started investigating Langston's operation. Had evidence, witnesses, a case that would have stuck. Week before the trial, her car went off the road. Single vehicle accident. Ruled driver error. His voice went flat. "My daughter was the most careful driver I ever knew. She didn't make errors." "I'm sorry," Ryan said. "Save it. Sorry doesn't bring her back. But evidence might get justice. And if you've got that evidence, I'll do everything I can to make sure it reaches the right people." FBI didn't help. FBI's compromised. Langston's got people there too, but I know someone who isn't, someone who wants Langston as bad as I do. "Who?" "Deputy Director of the State Attorney General's office. Rachel Mora. She and my daughter were friends. She's been trying to build a case against Langston for years. Never had enough proof. If you've got what you say you have, she can act." Ryan's head swam. Blood loss or hope, hard to tell which. "How do we reach her?" "We don't. She reaches us." "I'll make a call, set up a meet. But first we need to get you somewhere safe, somewhere Langston won't find you. Thought you said he'd search everywhere." "Not everywhere," Jack smiled grimly. "Come on. Time to go underground." He led them out the back of the cabin, through the forest, along a trail Ryan couldn't see. Emma held Ryan's hand, silent now, watching everything with frightened eyes. They walked for maybe 20 minutes before Jack stopped at what looked like solid rock face. "Help me with this. Help me with..." He and Ryan moved aside brush and branches, revealing a narrow opening between boulders. Not a cave exactly, more like a crack in the mountain. "Old mining tunnel," Jack explained. "Been here since the 1890s. Sealed off decades ago, but I reopened it. Goes back about 200 feet, opens into a natural cavern. Dry, ventilated, completely hidden. I've got supplies cached inside. Food, water, blankets, everything you'll need." "For how long?" Emma asked. "Few days, maybe. Until I can arrange the meet with Mora and figure out how to get you there safely. Ryan looked at the dark opening, looked at his daughter, looked at his bandaged shoulder still seeping blood, looked at the forest where men with guns were hunting them. Let's go, he said. They squeezed through the opening. Jack produced a flashlight, led them into darkness. The tunnel was tight, walls pressing close, ceiling low enough that Ryan had to duck. Emma whimpered but kept moving. The air smelled like old rock and damp. The cavern opened suddenly, space yawning around them. Jack's flashlight revealed a space maybe 30 feet across, ceiling lost in shadows. Plastic containers stacked against one wall. Camping gear, sleeping bags. Welcome home, Jack said. For now, anyway. He helped them get settled, showed them where everything was, made sure they had food and water, gave Ryan painkillers for his shoulder, stood at the entrance ready to leave. Lock this behind me. Don't come out unless you hear 3 short knocks, pause, 2 short knocks. That's me. Anyone else, stay hidden and stay quiet. How long? Ryan asked. I'll try to reach Mora tonight. If she can meet, maybe tomorrow. If not, longer. Jack met his eyes. Can you hold out that long? Ryan looked at Emma, small and scared in the darkness. Looked at the cavern that would be their world for however long this took. Felt his shoulder throb and his head swim and his future collapse into this single moment. We'll hold out, he said. Jack nodded, squeezed Ryan's good shoulder, left. The darkness swallowed his footsteps. Ryan and Emma sat in the beam of a battery lantern Jack had left them, listening to silence that felt like weight. Emma's eyes were huge. Dad? Are we going to be okay? Ryan pulled her close with his good arm. She felt tiny, fragile, the most important thing in a world that wanted to crush them both. Yeah, he said. We're going to be okay. He didn't know if he believed it, but saying it felt like the only thing keeping them both from falling apart. So he said it again, and again, until Emma fell asleep against him. And Ryan sat in the dark with his daughter in his arms, and blood still seeping through his bandage, and men hunting them above ground, and no idea if help was coming or if this cavern would become their tomb. Outside, the forest kept its secrets. And somewhere in Millerton County, Victor Langston sat in his study and smiled and made plans and waited for news that his problem had been solved. The cavern smelled like stone and stale air and something older than both. Ryan woke to darkness so complete he couldn't tell if his eyes were open or closed. His shoulder screamed. Emma's weight pressed against his chest, her breathing steady and warm. He didn't move, afraid to wake her, afraid to disturb the fragile peace of sleep. His phone said 3 in the morning. No signal down here, just the numbers glowing in the black. He turned it off to save battery, listened to water dripping somewhere in the depths, tried not to think about the tons of rock above them, tried not to think about Garrett's betrayal, tried not to think about men with guns searching the forest. Failed on all counts. Emma stirred, mumbled something incoherent, settled again. Ryan's good arm had gone numb under her weight. He shifted carefully, wincing as blood returned with pins and needles. The movement woke her. Dad? Right here. Where are we? The cave, remember? She sat up slowly, disoriented. Ryan turned on the lantern. Weak light pushed back the darkness, revealed the cavern walls slick with moisture. Emma looked around, face tight. I don't like it here. I know. When can we leave? When Jack comes back. When's that? Soon, I hope. She hugged her bear silent. Ryan checked his bandage. Blood had soaked through during the night, dried, crusty, and brown. His shoulder throbbed with a deep ache that suggested infection brewing. He needed antibiotics, needed a hospital, needed things he couldn't have while hiding in a hole in the ground. He found water in the supplies Jack had left. Found crackers and canned peaches. They ate breakfast sitting on sleeping bags spread over cold stone, not talking. What was there to say? They were trapped, hunted, dependent on a stranger's mercy. Emma finished her peaches, set the can aside. Tell me about Uncle Thomas. Ryan looked at her. What do you want to know? What was he like? I don't really remember him. That hurt more than the bullet wound. Thomas had died 18 months ago, but Emma had been 7, and 7-year-olds didn't hold on to memories the way adults did. Already he was fading for her. Soon he'd be just a name and some old photos. He was funny, Ryan said. Made stupid jokes, laughed at his own punchlines, drove me crazy. Like what kind of jokes? Bad ones. Puns, mostly. He'd see a scarecrow and say it was outstanding in its field. That kind of thing. Emma smiled a little. That's terrible. Yeah, he knew. Didn't care. Ryan's throat felt tight. He was a good brother. Better than I deserved. I was always busy, always working. He'd call and I'd say I'd call back and then I wouldn't. Last few months before he died, we barely talked. Why not? I don't remember. Something stupid. Money, probably. I was always worried about money. Ryan picked at the bandage on his shoulder. Thing about family is you think you've got time. Think you can fix things later. Then later runs out and you're left with all the things you should have said. Emma moved closer. Do you miss him? Every day. Me too, even though I don't remember him much. She rested her head against Ryan's good shoulder. If we get out of here, can we visit his grave? When we get out of here, and yes. Promise? Promise. They sat in silence. The lantern flickered. Ryan checked the battery, found it low. Jack had left 2 spares, but they wouldn't last forever. Nothing lasted forever down here. Just darkness and cold and the weight of stone. Time moved strangely underground. No sunlight to mark the hours. Ryan's phone said noon, but it could have been midnight. Emma dozed, woke, dozed again. Ryan changed his bandage, the wound angry and seeping. Tried not to let Emma see how bad it looked. 3 short knocks. Pause. 2 short knocks. Ryan grabbed the lantern, moved to the entrance. Jack? Yeah, let me in. Ryan squeezed through the crack in the rock. Jack stood outside with a backpack and a rifle and something dark in his expression. They went back inside together. Mora will meet? Jack said without preamble. Tomorrow night. Abandoned quarry off Route 47. She's bringing federal marshals, not local cops. People she trusts. That's good news. Would be. Except Langston knows something's happening. He's mobilized everyone on his payroll. Every cop, every official, everyone who owes him. They're tearing apart Millerton County looking for you. Found your house, tossed it. Found the salvage yard, tore it to pieces. They know you've got evidence and they know you're planning to use it. Ryan's stomach dropped. How do they know? Garrett probably. Or maybe Langston's just that smart. Either way, getting you to that quarry tomorrow is going to be complicated. How complicated? Very. Langston's got men watching every road, got eyes at the bank where your evidence is, got people at the FBI field office in case you show up there. He's locked down the entire county. So what do we do? Jack pulled a map from his backpack, spread it on the cavern floor. Quarry's here. We're here. That's 40 miles as the crow flies. By road it's 60, and every road's compromised, so we don't take roads. What do we take? Forest Service trails, old logging routes, places his men won't think to watch because they're barely passable. I've got a truck hidden about 3 miles from here. We hike out after dark, drive through the night using trails I've been scouting for the last 5 years. Why 5 years? Jack's face went hard. Because I've been planning to take Langston down since my daughter died. Just been waiting for the right moment, for the right evidence. You're giving me that. Emma had woken up, was listening with wide eyes. Ryan looked at her, then at Jack. If we get caught, we won't. But if we do, then we fight, or we die. Those are the options. Jack met his eyes. You want to back out? Say so now. I'll understand. But if we're doing this, we're committed. No second guessing, no hesitation, all in or all out. Ryan thought about Thomas drowning in the quarry. Thought about the USB drive with evidence that could bring down an empire. Thought about Emma growing up knowing her father ran when things got hard. All in, he said. Jack nodded. Pulled supplies from his backpack, food, water, ammunition, a second rifle. You know how to shoot? My dad took me hunting when I was a kid. Good. You'll need to cover me if things go sideways. He handed Ryan the rifle. It's sighted for 100 yards. Semi-auto, 30-round magazine. Safety's here. Don't point it at anything you don't want dead. Ryan took the weapon, felt its weight. Emma stared. Dad? It's okay, sweetheart. You're going to shoot people? Only if they try to shoot us first. She looked like she might cry. Jack crouched in front of her. I know this is scary. I know you want this to be over. But your dad's doing something important. Something that's going to help a lot of people. Can you be brave a little longer? Emma's chin trembled. I'm tired of being brave. I know, me too. But we don't get to quit, not when we're this close. Close to what? Winning. Jack stood, started repacking his gear. Ryan pulled Emma aside. Listen to me. Tonight we're going to hike through the woods and get in a truck and drive to meet some people who can help us. It might be dangerous. There might be bad men. But I need you to do exactly what Jack and I tell you. When we tell you, no questions. Can you do that? I guess. Not good enough. I need to know you'll listen. She met his eyes. I'll listen. Good girl. He hugged her with his good arm. This is almost over. Tomorrow we'll be somewhere safe, and the bad men will be the ones running. You promise? Ryan didn't promise, couldn't promise. Too many variables, too many ways it could all go wrong. Instead, he said, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure we're okay. Emma seemed to understand that was the best she'd get. She nodded, pulled away, went to gather her things. Jack checked his watch. We've got 8 hours until dark. Get some rest. Eat. We leave at 1900. Military time? Ryan said. Old habits. Jack's smile was thin. I was Special Forces. 20 years. Spent most of it in places I can't talk about, doing things I'm trying to forget. Thought I'd left that life behind when I retired. Moved up here, built a cabin, planned to die in peace. His face darkened. Then Langston killed my daughter. Turns out you can't leave some things behind. They follow you. Ryan understood that. Violence followed you. Trauma followed you. The past followed you no matter how far you ran or how deep you hid. Thomas was proof of that. Ryan's own failures were proof of that. They spent the afternoon in the cavern's twilight, Ryan dozing fitfully, Emma reading a book Jack had brought by flashlight, Jack cleaning weapons and checking gear. The hours crawled. Ryan's shoulder throbbed worse, heat radiating from the wound. Infection setting in. He'd need real medical care soon, or the shoulder would be the least of his problems. But first they had to survive the night. 7 o'clock came. Jack handed out energy bars and water bottles. They ate standing up, checking gear, not talking. Emma looked small under the weight of the backpack Jack had given her. Ryan wanted to tell her she didn't have to carry anything, but he knew better. Everyone carried their weight, even 8-year-olds. Ready? Jack said. As we'll ever be, Ryan answered. They squeezed through the crack in the rock, emerged into dusk. The forest was gray and quiet, shadows pooling under the trees. Jack led them along a trail Ryan couldn't see, moving fast. Ryan followed with Emma between them, his good hand on her shoulder, the rifle slung across his back. 3 miles. That's what Jack said. 3 miles to the hidden truck. Ryan's shoulder screamed with every step, but he kept moving. Emma kept pace without complaint, her face set. Jack moved like a ghost, rifle ready, checking corners, scanning the forest. 20 minutes in, they heard voices. Jack dropped, gestured. Ryan and Emma hit the ground. Voices to the left, maybe 100 yards. Male voices. Shouting coordinates, searching. Jack crawled back to Ryan. Langston's men, 4 of them, between us and the truck. Can we go around? Takes too long. Sun's down in an hour. We need to reach the truck before full dark or we're stuck. So what do we do? Jack's face was stone. We go through them. You mean, I mean they're in our way and we don't have time for subtle. Can you shoot if you need to? Ryan thought about Emma, thought about Thomas, thought about all the people Langston had hurt. Yeah, good. Stay here with your daughter. When I open up, you cover the right flank. Anyone runs that direction, put them down. Jack, no debate. This is happening. Jack checked his rifle. Keep her safe. That's your only job. He moved off through the trees, silent as death. Ryan put Emma behind a log, crouched beside her. Stay down. Don't look up no matter what you hear. Dad, what's happening? Just stay down. Gunfire erupted. 3-round bursts, controlled, professional. Someone screamed. More gunfire answered, wild and panicked. Ryan saw movement to the right, a man running. He raised his rifle, sighted, hesitated. The man was young, maybe 25. Terrified. But he was also armed and working for Langston, and if he got away, he'd bring more men. Ryan squeezed the trigger. The rifle kicked. The man went down. Ryan's stomach tried to crawl out his throat. He'd just killed someone, shot them in the back. Killed them. Emma was crying behind the log. Ryan wanted to go to her but couldn't move, couldn't process what he'd just done. More gunfire cracked. Then silence. Jack appeared out of the trees, rifle smoking. Clear. Let's move. I shot someone, Ryan said. I know, you did good. Now move. Ryan pulled Emma up. She wouldn't look at him. He wanted to explain, wanted to tell her he'd had no choice, wanted to take it back. But Jack was already moving and they had to keep up. They passed the bodies. Ryan tried not to look, failed. 4 men, all dead, all young, all someone's son or brother or father, all working for a monster but still human, still dead. Emma threw up in the bushes. Ryan held her hair back, his own stomach churning. Jack waited without patience. This is war, Jack said flatly. People die in war. You want to feel bad about it? Feel bad later. Right now, we move. They moved. Through the forest and gathering darkness, Ryan's mind replaying the shot, the man falling, Emma crying. They reached a ravine thick with brush. Jack moved aside branches, revealed a truck covered in camouflage netting. Get in. Back seat. Ryan and Emma climbed in. The interior smelled like gun oil and old coffee. Jack got behind the wheel, started the engine, pulled out slowly. No lights. Driving by moon and memory down a trail barely wider than the truck. Where are we going? Emma's voice was small. Safe house, Jack said. 20 miles from here. We'll hole up there until tomorrow night, then move to the quarry. What about the men you killed? Emma said. What about their families? Jack's eyes met hers in the rearview mirror. Their families will hurt. They'll grieve. But those men chose to work for Victor Langston. They chose to hunt a child and her father through the woods. They made their choice. Dad didn't choose. He just wanted to keep his business. Your dad chose when he decided to stand up instead of running. When he decided truth mattered more than safety. That's always a choice. Emma looked at Ryan. Is that true? Ryan didn't know how to answer. He'd been backed into a corner, pressured into a fight he didn't want. But somewhere along the way it had become his fight. His choice. He could have run. Could have given Langston the evidence, could have taken the money and disappeared, could have taught his daughter that monsters win if you let them. Yeah, he said. It's true. Emma turned away, stared out the window. Ryan watched her profile in the darkness and wondered what this was doing to her. What seeing violence and death at 8 years old would do to her psyche. How she'd carry this forward into the rest of her life. He'd wanted to protect her. Instead, he'd dragged her into hell. The truck bounced over rocks and roots for an hour before Jack pulled onto something resembling an actual road. Still no lights. The moon gave enough illumination to see shapes and shadows. Jack drove like he'd done this 1,000 times. Maybe he had. Safe house is 40 minutes, Jack said. Try to rest. Rest seemed impossible, but Ryan's body had other ideas. Adrenaline crashed. Exhaustion flooded in. His shoulder pulsed with infection heat. His eyelids felt like lead. He fought it as long as he could, then surrendered. Woke to the truck stopping. Jack killed the engine. We're here. The safe house was a hunting cabin smaller than Jack's place. Windows boarded, door hidden behind a stack of firewood. Jack moved the wood aside, picked the lock, ushered them in. Inside smelled like mildew and mouse droppings. Jack lit a camping lantern. Not much, but it's dry and hidden. Langston's men won't find us here. How do you know? Ryan asked. Because this place belongs to someone Langston thinks is dead. Someone who doesn't exist on any records anymore. Someone I used to be. Jack set down his rifle. Get some sleep, real sleep. You look like hell. Ryan didn't argue. He helped Emma spread sleeping bags on the floor, got her settled. She still wouldn't look at him. He wanted to talk to her, but didn't know what to say. Sorry you saw me kill someone? Sorry I dragged you into this? Sorry I'm a terrible father? Emma, I'm tired, Dad. I know, but I don't want to talk. I just want to sleep. She rolled away from him. Ryan sat there feeling helpless. Jack touched his shoulder, the good one. Give her time. Kids are resilient. She'll process it. What if she doesn't? Then you deal with it. That's what fathers do. Jack moved to the window, checked outside. Ryan lay down next to Emma, listening to her breathe. She wasn't asleep. He could tell by the rhythm, but she wanted him to think she was. wanted the buffer of pretend sleep between them. He didn't blame her. His own sleep was fragments of nightmare. Thomas drowning, Emma crying, the man he shot falling over and over. He woke drenched in sweat, shoulder on fire. His phone said 4 in the morning. Jack sat by the window, rifle across his lap, watching. Can't sleep? Ryan's voice was rough. Don't sleep much anymore, not since Melissa died. Your daughter? Jack nodded. She was 32, prosecutor, smart, dedicated, everything you'd want in a kid. Married to a good man, talking about children. Then Langston decided she was a threat, and she died screaming when her car went off Pearson's Bluff. I'm sorry. Everyone's sorry. Nobody does anything. That's the problem. People see corruption and evil and they shrug, say it's not their problem, say someone else will handle it. Then people like Langston build empires on their apathy. Ryan pulled himself up, wincing. You think I'm doing the right thing? Dragging my daughter into this? I think you're doing the only thing. You can run and Langston wins. You can give up the evidence and Langston wins. Or you can fight and maybe lose, but at least you fought. At least you didn't roll over. Jack looked at him. Your daughter might be angry now, might be scared, but one day she'll understand you stood up. That matters. Does it? If we die tomorrow, does it matter? Yes, because she'll die knowing her father was brave. That's worth something. Ryan wasn't sure he believed that. Wasn't sure Emma would forgive him if they died tomorrow. But Jack's certainty was comforting even if it was false. Dawn came gray and cold. Jack made coffee on a camp stove. Emma woke and ate without talking. Ryan tried to engage her, got monosyllables. They spent the day waiting, tension building like a storm. Jack checked his watch every 30 minutes, checked his weapons, checked the windows. Moore's meeting us at 2200, Jack said around noon. That's 10 o'clock, quarry's 30 miles. We leave here at 2000, take back roads, arrive early to scout. Moore's bringing 2 federal marshals. They'll take possession of the evidence and escort you to a safe location. What about you? Ryan asked. I'm not going anywhere. This is my county. I'm staying to watch Langston fall. He'll kill you. Jack smiled without warmth. He can try. The afternoon crawled. Ryan changed his bandage, the wound weeping pus. Definitely infected. Definitely needed antibiotics. Tomorrow. If they survived tonight, tomorrow he'd see a doctor. Emma finally spoke around 4. Dad, what happens after? After what, sweetheart? After the bad men are arrested. What happens to us? Ryan had been avoiding that question. We go home. Rebuild the business. Start over. Where? Our house got tossed, you said. We'll find a new place. What if I don't want to go back? What if I'm too scared? Ryan moved to sit beside her. Then we'll go somewhere else. Somewhere new. Somewhere you feel safe. Will we ever feel safe again? He didn't have an answer for that. Didn't know if safety was possible after what they'd been through. Trauma changed you, left marks you carried forever. I don't know, he said honestly. But we'll figure it out, together. She leaned against him. He wrapped his good arm around her. They sat like that until the sun started dropping. Jack stood. Time. They gathered their things. Jack gave Ryan a handgun in addition to the rifle. For close work. If things go completely sideways. Ryan took it, hoped he wouldn't need it, knew he probably would. The truck started rough, but caught. Jack pulled out onto a dirt road barely visible in the twilight. Drove without lights again, navigating by memory and moon. 20 miles through forest and field, skirting towns, avoiding main roads. They passed a gas station. Jack pulled in, parked behind the building. Stay here. I need to make a call. He disappeared around front, came back 5 minutes later, face grim. Problem. Maura can't make it. Ryan's stomach dropped. What? Someone leaked the meat. She thinks Langston knows. She's scrambling to set up a new location, new time. Says she'll call when she's secure. How long? Could be hours. Could be tomorrow. We can't wait tomorrow. Langston's men are everywhere. I know. Jack drummed his fingers on the wheel. We've got another option. Risky, but viable. What? We go to the bank ourselves. Get the evidence. Drive straight to the state capitol, walk into the Attorney General's office, hand it over in person. Can't leak what nobody knows about. That's 200 miles. 3 hours on the highway, we'll be there by midnight. What if they're watching the bank? Then we fight our way in. Jack's face was hard. I'm not waiting anymore. Your brother died waiting. My daughter died waiting. We're ending this tonight. Ryan looked at Emma in the back seat. She looked back, face pale but set. What do you think? He asked her. I think Uncle Thomas would want us to finish it. Out of the mouths of 8-year-olds. Ryan turned to Jack. Let's go get the evidence. Jack smiled. About time. They drove back roads to Millerton County, arriving around 9. The town looked different in darkness. Hostile, watched, dangerous. Every car could be an enemy. Every window could hide a gun. The bank sat downtown, closed and dark. Jack parked 2 blocks away. How do we get in? Ryan asked. We don't. You do. I'll cover you from here. What? Jack handed him a key ring. Keys to the bank. Got them from the manager. How? Don't ask. Back door opens to an alley. Alarm code is 3792. Safety deposit boxes are in the vault. Your box is what, 1847? Yeah, how did you know? Elena Hart told me. Called her this afternoon. She's been trying to reach you. Elena's okay? For now. Langston's people have been watching her, but she's too high profile to touch directly. She wants to help. Says she's ready to testify. Ryan took the keys. His hands shook. What if they're waiting inside? Then you shoot them and get out. I'll provide covering fire. What about Emma? She stays with me. Emma grabbed Ryan's arm. Dad, no. Don't go in there. I have to, sweetheart. Then I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. You can't leave me again. Every time you leave, something bad happens. She was right. Every time he'd left her, at the cabin, in the ravine, in the cave, things had gone to hell. Maybe keeping her close was safer, or maybe he was just too scared to let her out of his sight. She comes, Ryan said to Jack. Bad idea. I don't care, she comes. Jack started to argue, then saw Ryan's face and stopped. Your funeral, or hers. They moved through alleys toward the bank. Ryan kept Emma's hand in his, the gun in the other. Every shadow looked like a threat. Every sound made him flinch. The back door appeared. Ryan tried the key. It turned. The door opened. Darkness inside. He entered, Emma right behind him. Found the alarm panel, punched in the code. The red light went green. Silence. Ryan used his phone for light, found the vault. The door was closed but not locked. They didn't lock it when the bank was closed, apparently. He pulled it open. Rows of safety deposit boxes lined the walls. Box 1847 was in the middle. Ryan found Elena's key, opened it. Inside was a manila envelope, thick with documents. He grabbed it, turned to leave. Headlights swept the front windows. Ryan killed his phone light, grabbed Emma, ducked behind a desk. Car doors opened. Voices, keys in the front door lock. They were trapped. Ryan looked around frantically. Back door was 30 feet away. Windows were barred. No other exit. The voices grew louder. 3 men, maybe 4. Coming inside. Ryan pulled Emma toward the vault. They slipped inside, pulled the door shut. Darkness so complete Ryan couldn't see his own hand. Emma's breathing was loud in the enclosed space. Footsteps in the bank. Flashlight beams. Someone said, "Check the vault." Ryan's heart stopped. He felt for the inside latch, couldn't find it in the dark. The door started to open. Light spilled in. Ryan raised his gun. A man stepped through. Ryan fired twice. The man went down. Someone shouted. Ryan shoved Emma behind him, fired through the open door. Glass shattered. Someone screamed, "Go!" Ryan pulled Emma out, stepping over the body. They ran for the back door. Gunfire chased them. Ryan fired back blindly, counting shots. The back door loomed. He hit it shoulder first, crashed through into the alley. Jack's truck screeched around the corner. "Get in!" Ryan threw Emma into the bed, dove in after her. Jack floored it. Bullets sparked off metal. They careened through the alley, onto a side street, through an intersection on red. A patrol car gave chase, lights flashing. Jack took a hard left, then a right, then into a parking garage. Killed the lights, coasted down a ramp into darkness. Stopped. They sat in silence, engine ticking, listening to sirens wail past. "Everyone okay?" Jack's voice was steady. "Yeah," Ryan gasped. "Got the evidence." Good. Now we run. He started the engine, pulled out the far side of the garage, away from the sirens. Drove surface streets to the highway, merged into traffic, became anonymous. Ryan sat in the truck bed with Emma pressed against him, both of them shaking. Dad, you killed another person. I know. Does it get easier? I hope not. They drove north through the night, leaving Millerton County behind, leaving the bodies and the blood and the fear, heading toward the capital, toward safety, toward whatever came next. Behind them, Victor Langston received word that Ryan Cole had escaped with the evidence. He sat in his study, perfectly calm, and made a phone call. Block all routes north, he said. Every highway, every road. I want him found, and I want him dead. No more mistakes. No more mercy. End this. The man on the other end said, Yes, sir. Langston hung up, poured himself scotch, walked to the window overlooking his estate. Somewhere out there in the darkness, Ryan Cole was running. But he couldn't run forever. And when he stopped, Langston would be waiting. The highway stretched ahead like a promise that kept breaking. Jack drove 70 in the right lane. Nothing that would draw attention. Just another truck moving through the dark. Ryan sat in the passenger seat with the manila envelope on his lap. Emma asleep in the back, her head against the window. Every pair of headlights that appeared behind them made Ryan's pulse spike. How far to the capital? He asked. 140 miles. 2 hours if we're lucky. Jack checked the mirror. That assumes Langston hasn't locked down the highways. Can he do that? He's got judges, cops, state officials. Yeah, he can do that. Question is whether he'll risk the exposure. Setting up roadblocks raises questions, creates records, makes people notice. He's killed people. Pretty sure a roadblock's not where he draws the line. Jack grunted agreement. They passed a rest stop, dark and empty. Past an exit with a gas station, lights bright and lonely. The highway was quiet for this hour, not yet midnight, but late enough that most people were home. Ryan's phone buzzed. Signal, finally. He checked it, found 17 missed calls from Elena Hart. 3 voicemails. He played the first one. Ryan, it's Elena. I don't know if you're getting these. Jack said you got the evidence from the bank. That's good. That's everything we need. But Langston knows, he knows you have it, and he's activating every resource he has. Be careful, please. For Emma's sake, for... Her voice broke. Just be careful. The second message was shorter. Langston's people came to my house. They didn't do anything, just stood outside, watching, letting me know they're there. I'm taking Lily and going to my sister's in Philadelphia. I'm sorry. I know I should be braver. I'm sorry. The third message was barely a whisper. I loved your brother. I never told him, but I did. He was a good man. Finish what he started. Make it mean something. Ryan lowered the phone. Emma stirred in the back seat. Who was that? Elena, she's scared. Everyone's scared, Emma said quietly. That's what this is. Everyone being scared all the time. She wasn't wrong. Fear had been the constant companion since that first legal notice. Fear had driven every decision, every choice. Fear was what Langston traded in, cultivating it, weaponizing it, using it to keep people in line. Not for much longer, Ryan said. Once we deliver this evidence, Langston's done. No more fear. You really believe that? He wanted to. Wanted to believe that truth and justice and evidence actually mattered. But he'd seen too much, lived through too much, to be certain of anything anymore. I have to believe it, he said. Otherwise, what's the point? Jack took an exit suddenly. No signal. Just a hard right that threw them against the door. He accelerated down the ramp, killed the lights. What are you doing? Ryan asked. Roadblock. Half-mile ahead. Saw the pattern. Cars backed up. Lights everywhere. Could be an accident. Could be them. You think they found us that fast? I think Langston's got eyes everywhere, and we just shot up a bank in his county. Yeah, they found us. Jack turned onto a county road. Still no lights, navigating by moon and muscle memory. The road ran parallel to the highway, about a mile east. Through the trees, Ryan could see the glow of the roadblock, cars being searched, flashlights sweeping. If they're checking the highway, they'll be checking all the routes north, Ryan said. Probably. So how do we get to the capital? We don't. Not tonight. Jack pulled onto a dirt road, followed it into forest. Change of plans. We hole up until morning, contact Mora again. Arrange a new meet somewhere Langston won't expect. Where? I'm working on it. The dirt road ended at an old barn, sagging and forgotten. Jack parked inside, killed the engine. Silence rushed in. Ryan could hear his own heartbeat. Now what? Emma asked. Now we wait. Jack pulled out his phone. And make some calls. He stepped out of his truck, walked into the darkness. Ryan heard his voice, low and urgent, but couldn't make out words. Emma climbed into the front seat, curled against Ryan's side. I want to go home, she said. I know. Not our house, I mean really home. Before all this. Before Uncle Thomas died and the bad men came and everything got scary. I want to go back to when things were normal. Ryan pulled her closer. Me too, sweetheart. Can we? Ever? I don't know. But we can try. We can build something new. Different maybe, but good. Would that be okay? She nodded against his chest. Ryan felt her tears soak through his shirt. His own eyes burned. He'd failed her. Failed to protect her innocence. Failed to shield her from the worst parts of humanity. 8 years old, and she'd seen things no child should see. Carried trauma she'd process for the rest of her life. Some father. Jack came back, face grim in the moonlight filtering through the barn's broken roof. Mora's compromised. Someone in her office leaked. She's being investigated for unauthorized contact with potential witnesses. They've pulled her from the case. Ryan's stomach sank. So she can't help us. Not officially, but she gave me a name. Federal prosecutor in the Capitol. Guy named Marcus Webb. He's clean, got a reputation for going after corruption. Mora says if we can get the evidence to him, he'll act on it. How do we reach him? That's the problem. He's at a conference in Richmond. Won't be back until tomorrow afternoon. We can't wait that long. Langston will find us. I know. Jack leaned against the truck. So we go to him. Richmond's 3 hours from here. We drive through the night, deliver the evidence in person, get federal protection. Richmond's in the opposite direction from the Capitol. I know, but it's also somewhere Langston won't expect. He's got his people watching routes north. We go east, stay off major highways. We might slip through. Ryan looked at Emma. She looked back, tired and scared, but still trusting him to make the right call. No pressure there. What do you think? He asked her. I think we've come this far. Might as well keep going. Jack smiled despite everything. Smart kid. They rested in the barn for 2 hours, taking turns keeping watch. Ryan's shoulder throbbed worse, the infection spreading. He needed antibiotics desperately, but there was no time, no safe place to stop. Just keep moving, keep ahead of the hunters, keep Emma alive. 3 a.m, they pulled out, Jack driving back roads with the confidence of someone who'd memorized every inch of the state. They headed east through small towns, dark and sleeping, through farmland and forest, staying off anything that looked like a main route. Dawn came gray and cold, revealing a landscape Ryan didn't recognize. Rolling hills, small farms, churches with white steeples. They stopped at a gas station just as it opened, Jack paying cash while Ryan and Emma stayed in the truck. Jack came back with coffee and breakfast sandwiches and a bottle of antibiotics he'd somehow acquired. Don't ask, he said, handing Ryan the pills. Just take 2 now, 2 every 6 hours. Ryan didn't ask. Swallowed the pills with lukewarm coffee that tasted like salvation. Jack got back behind the wheel. Richmond's 90 miles, we'll be there by 8. They made it 60 miles before the helicopter appeared. Ryan saw it first, a black dot against the gray sky, moving fast and low. Jack saw it too, swore, accelerated. The helicopter matched their speed, dropping lower. Not police, no markings. Private. That's Langston's, Jack said. Hold on. He took a hard right onto a side road, then left onto something barely wider than a driveway. Trees closed overhead, branches scraping the truck. The helicopter pulled up, circling, searching. Jack drove faster, the truck bouncing over ruts, Emma thrown against the door. Dad! I've got you. Ryan braced her with his good arm. Jack, where are we going? Away from the eye in the sky. There's a covered bridge about 2 miles ahead. We get under that, they lose visual. The helicopter swung back around, lower now, close enough that Ryan could see faces in the windows. Someone leaned out with what looked like a rifle. Jack swerved hard as the first shot came. The rear window exploded. Down! Ryan shoved Emma to the floor, covered her with his body. Glass rained on his back, more gunfire. The truck's side mirror disintegrated. Jack kept driving, kept swerving, making them a harder target. The covered bridge appeared ahead, old and wooden and perfect cover. They shot through into darkness. Jack killed the engine, coasted to a stop. Above, the helicopter circled, rotors thumping. "They'll land," Jack said. "Come in on foot. We've got maybe 5 minutes." "To do what?" "Get ready to fight." Jack handed Ryan the rifle. "You remember how to use this?" Ryan's hands shook taking it. "Yeah." "Good. Because they're not taking us alive." Emma was crying quietly on the floor. Ryan wanted to comfort her, but there wasn't time. Jack was already out of the truck, rifle up, moving to the bridge's entrance. Ryan followed, positioned himself at the other end. The bridge was maybe 50 feet long, covered roof, open sides. Good cover, but also a trap if they got flanked. The helicopter landed somewhere north. Rotors wound down. Silence, then voices. Coming closer. Multiple men. Professional, coordinated. Jack caught Ryan's eye, held up 4 fingers. 4 men. Ryan's pulse hammered. His shoulders screamed. The rifle felt impossibly heavy. He thought about Emma in the truck, about how she'd already seen him kill 3 people, about how if this went wrong, she'd see him die. The first man appeared at Jack's end of the bridge. Jack fired once. The man dropped. The other 3 scattered, returning fire. Wood splintered. Ryan aimed at movement, squeezed the trigger, missed, fired again. Someone screamed. A grenade bounced into the bridge from the far end. "Grenade!" Jack dove back toward the truck. Ryan ran, grabbed Emma through the window, pulled her out. They hit the dirt as the explosion tore through the bridge, wood and flame and pressure that slammed Ryan's eardrums. Emma was screaming. Ryan couldn't hear her but could see her mouth open, face twisted. The truck was on fire. The bridge was collapsing. 2 men came through the smoke, weapons up. Jack shot one. Ryan shot the other. Both went down. Jack was bleeding from his leg, limping as he moved. He reached the truck, pulled out their bags, the evidence envelope. "Move! Before the fire spreads to the gas tank!" They ran into the forest as the truck exploded behind them, fireball reaching for the sky. Ran through trees and undergrowth. Jack limping, Emma stumbling, Ryan's shoulder bleeding fresh through his bandage. Behind them, the helicopter's rotors started again. "They're going to track us from the air," Jack said. "We need cover." "Where?" "Creek. Half-mile east. Get under the canopy. Water will mask our heat signature." They ran. Emma fell. Ryan picked her up, kept running. Jack was slowing, his leg wound worse than he'd let on. The helicopter passed overhead, rotors deafening, circled back. The creek appeared, water running fast over rocks. Jack led them in, wading upstream, using overhanging branches for cover. The water was freezing. Emma's teeth chattered. Ryan's boots filled, dragging at his legs. Behind them, the helicopter hovered, searching. "Under here." Jack pulled them beneath a fallen tree spanning the creek. Space barely big enough for all 3. They pressed together in the dark hollow, water rushing past, waiting. The helicopter circled for 20 minutes, then left. Sound fading. Gone. They waited another 20 minutes before emerging. Jack's leg had bled through his pants, blood mixing with creek water. Ryan's shoulder felt like it was on fire. Emma was shivering so hard she couldn't stand. "We need to get dry," Ryan said. "Get warm. She's going into shock." Jack nodded, looked around. "There's a hunting cabin about a mile south. Owner only uses it during deer season. Should be empty." They walked through the forest, soaked and freezing and exhausted. Found the cabin, small, locked, windows intact. Jack kicked in the door. Inside was basic but dry. He started a fire in the wood stove while Ryan stripped Emma's wet clothes, wrapped her in blankets. She'd stopped shivering, which was worse. Her lips were blue. "She needs a hospital," Ryan said. "Hospital's a death sentence. Langston's got people watching every emergency room in 3 counties. Jack pulled off his pants, inspected his leg wound, deep gash, still bleeding. "We warm her up here. Get fluids in her. She'll be okay." "How do you know?" "I don't. But taking her to a hospital guarantees Langston finds us. At least here we've got a chance." Ryan held Emma close to the fire, rubbing her arms, her legs, trying to return circulation. She was pale, her breathing shallow. He'd done this to her, dragged her through hell, let her get shot at, almost blown up, submerged in freezing water. The worst father in history. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart." Her eyes fluttered open. "Dad? Right here. Are we dead?" "No, we're okay. You're going to be okay." "I'm cold." "I know, but you're warming up. Just stay with me." He held her for an hour while the fire built heat in the small cabin. Color slowly returned to her face. Her shivering started again, which Jack said was good, meant her body was fighting. Ryan fed her water sip by sip, found canned soup in a cupboard, heated it, got half a bowl into her. Jack wrapped his leg wound, moving stiffly. He looked older in the firelight, older and worn down. A man who'd been fighting too long. "How's your ammo?" Ryan asked. "Low. Maybe 30 rounds. You?" 20, plus the handgun. Against however many men Langston sends next. Great odds. "What do we do?" Jack stared into the fire. "We can't make Richmond. Can't reach Webb. Can't drive anywhere without being spotted. We're pinned." "So we're done?" "I didn't say that." Jack pulled out his phone. "We've still got one option. High risk, but possible." "What?" "We call Langston. Tell him we'll trade the evidence for safe passage. Meet him somewhere public. Lots of witnesses. He gives us a way out. We give him the envelope. Once we're clear, we contact Webb. Tell him everything. Get federal protection." Ryan stared. "You want to give Langston the evidence?" "No. I want to make him think we will." "The envelope we've got, you looked inside it?" "No. Me neither. But I'm betting it's copies. Elena's too smart to put original documents in a safety deposit box. She'll have backups, digital files, insurance. So we trade Langston copies while the real evidence exists somewhere else." "What if you're wrong?" "Then we die having tried everything." Jack met his eyes. "You got a better idea?" Ryan looked at Emma, sleeping now in her blankets. Looked at the envelope that had cost so much. Thought about Thomas dying in the quarry, about Jack's daughter dying on the bluff, about all the people Langston had hurt. "We don't give him anything," Ryan said. "We end this. Tonight." "How?" "We make him come to us. Here. This cabin. Tell him we'll trade, but he has to come alone. When he shows up, we take him. Force him to call off his people. Then we deliver him and the evidence together." Jack smiled slowly. "That's either brilliant or suicide." "Probably both." "I'm in." They spent the afternoon preparing. Jack checked the cabin's fields of fire, marked distances, set up positions. Ryan loaded magazines, checked weapons, tried not to think about what they were planning. Emma woke around 2, still weak but functional. "What's happening?" she asked. "We're going to finish this," Ryan said. "Tonight." "How?" "By doing something really stupid." She looked between him and Jack. "Are we going to die?" "Not if we're smart and lucky." "That's not reassuring." "It's the truth. I'm done lying to you, sweetheart. This is dangerous. This might not work. But it's the only chance we've got." Emma nodded slowly. "Okay. What do you need me to do?" Ryan pulled her close. "Stay hidden. Stay quiet. And if things go bad, you run. You run and don't look back and you find help. Can you do that?" "No." "Emma, I'm not leaving you. Not again. Whatever happens, happens to all of us." She was 8, but she'd earned the right to choose. Ryan kissed her forehead. "Okay. Together." Jack made the call at 4 o'clock, using a burner phone he'd had stashed at the cabin. Langston answered on the second ring. "Mr. Cole, I was beginning to think you died in that truck fire." "Not yet, but we're done running. You want the evidence? Come get it." "Why would I believe you're willing to deal?" "Because I've got a daughter who's scared and cold, and I'm watching her childhood die because of your ego, because I'm bleeding and exhausted, and I just want this over. Because you win, okay? You win. I'll give you the evidence. Just let us walk away." Silence on the line. Then, "Where?" Jack gave him coordinates to the cabin. "Be here by 8. Come alone. You bring an army, we burn the evidence and disappear. You'll spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder." "How do I know you actually have it?" "Because your men chased us from Millerton to Richmond. Because we shot our way out of a bank vault. Because your helicopter almost killed us this morning. We've got it. Question is whether you want it bad enough to risk meeting us." More silence. Ryan could almost hear Langston's mind working, weighing risks, calculating angles. 8 o'clock. Langston said finally. I come alone. You hand over the evidence. Then you disappear and we never speak again. Deal. Langston hung up. Jack lowered the phone. He's bringing an army. I know. So we'll be outnumbered maybe 20-1. I know. And your plan is what exactly? Ryan picked up his rifle. Survive long enough to get him on recording admitting what he did. Then use that to force him to stand down. Then deliver him and the recording and the documents all together. That's a terrible plan. You got a better one? Jack checked his own weapon. No, but I'm still calling it terrible. They spent the next 3 hours preparing. Jack showed Emma a crawl space under the cabin's floor, stocked it with water and a flashlight, made her promise to hide there when the shooting started. She promised without enthusiasm. Ryan positioned himself in the cabin's loft, covering the front approach. Jack took the back window, covering the rear. They had maybe 60 rounds between them. Langston would bring professionals with hundreds. The numbers didn't work, but they rarely did. 7:30. The light started dying. Ryan checked his phone one last time, found signal long enough to send a message to Elena. If you don't hear from me by tomorrow, go to federal prosecutor Marcus Webb in Richmond. Tell him everything. Give him the backups. Finish this. He hit send before he could second guess, then turned off the phone. Emma appeared at the loft ladder. Can I come up? You're supposed to be in the crawl space. I will be, when they get here. But right now I want to be with you. Ryan helped her up. She sat beside him, looking out the window at the forest turning gray. Dad, if we don't make it, don't. If we don't, I want you to know I'm not mad about any of it. Uncle Thomas would be proud of you. I'm proud of you. Ryan's throat closed. He pulled her against his side. I love you more than anything in this world. You know that, right? I know, and I'm sorry for all of it, for dragging you into this, for not being a better father, for... Dad, stop. You're the best father I could have. I wouldn't want anyone else. He held her until headlights appeared in the distance. Single vehicle, moving slow. That's him, Jack called from below. Emma, crawl space. Now! She hugged Ryan hard. Don't die. Working on it. She climbed down. Ryan heard the crawl space door open, close. Then silence. Just him and Jack and the approaching headlights. The vehicle stopped 50 yards out. Doors opened. One man got out. Tall, silver hair catching the last light. Victor Langston walked toward the cabin with his hands visible, empty, alone. He'd actually come alone. Ryan's heart hammered. This might actually work. He climbed down from the loft, met Jack at the door. Cover me, Ryan said. He tries anything. Shoot him. With pleasure. Ryan opened the door, stepped out onto the porch. Langston stopped 20 feet away. Mr. Cole, you look terrible. You look like a man who's about to lose everything. Ryan held up his phone. I'm recording this conversation. Anything you say goes straight to federal prosecutors. You understand that? I do. Makes no difference. You have the evidence? Answer some questions first. Thomas Cole. My brother. Did you kill him? Langston smiled. Your brother was a thief and a traitor. He stole from me, threatened me. Yes, I had him killed, staged to look like an accident. The coroner was very cooperative. Ryan's blood turned to ice. Hearing it, hearing the confirmation, the casual admission. Why? Because he wouldn't listen. Because he thought principle mattered more than survival. Because he was weak. Langston took a step closer. Like you. I've got your admission. Murder. On tape. That's enough to put you away. Is it? You think a recording matters? You think evidence matters? I own judges, prosecutors, half the state government. I'll be dead of old age before any of this reaches trial. Another step. You've lost, Ryan. You've always been losing. You just didn't know it. Movement in the trees. Shadows detaching. Armed men forming a perimeter. 20, 30, more. They'd been there all along, waiting. Langston's smile widened. Did you really think I'd come alone? Really? How naive. How wonderfully naive. Ryan raised his rifle. I've got you on tape. That means something. It means nothing, because you're about to die, along with your daughter, and my secrets die with you. No? New voice? Female. Elena Hart stepped out of the forest, phone in hand. They don't. Langston turned, face going pale. Elena, what are you doing here? Finishing what Thomas started. Everything Ryan just recorded? I've got it too, and it's already uploaded. Already sent to 3 different prosecutors, 2 newspapers, and the state attorney general's office. You just confessed to murder, Victor. On the record, to multiple witnesses with digital proof. More movement. Federal agents emerging from the trees, weapons drawn, wearing tactical gear. Leading them was a woman Ryan didn't recognize. Victor Langston, she said. I'm Deputy Director Rachel Mora, State Attorney General's office. You're under arrest for murder, conspiracy, racketeering, and about 40 other charges. Put your hands on your head. Langston stared at her, at Elena, at Ryan, understanding dawning. You set me up. We finished what you started, Ryan said. When you killed my brother, when you threatened my daughter, you taught us how to fight dirty. We learned. Langston's men were dropping their weapons, hands up, surrounded by federal agents who'd been in position the whole time. Mora moved forward, cuffed Langston herself. You have the right to remain silent, she said. I suggest you use it. Elena walked to Ryan, tears streaming. Is Emma okay? She's here. She's safe. Ryan's legs felt weak. How did you... Jack called me. Said you were planning something stupid. So I called Mora, told her everything. We've been building a case based on your evidence for the last 12 hours. Set up this meeting as a sting. Let Langston incriminate himself. She hugged Ryan hard. It's over. It's finally over. Ryan stood there holding her, watching Langston being led away in cuffs, his empire collapsing around him. Agents were reading rights, securing weapons, processing arrests. Jack emerged from the cabin, limping but smiling. Crawl space is clear. Emma's asking for you. Ryan ran inside, pulled open the floor, found Emma huddled in the dark. She looked up, saw his face, burst into tears. We're okay, he said, lifting her out. We're okay, sweetheart. It's over. She clung to him, sobbing. He carried her outside where agents were securing the scene, where Langston was being put into a vehicle, where Elena stood with her daughter Lily, holding her hand. The 2 girls looked at each other, children who'd lost too much too young. Mora approached Ryan. We're going to need statements from all of you, detailed testimony. This is going to be a long process. I know, but tonight you're safe. Federal protection until the trial. Safe house. Medical care. Everything you need. Ryan nodded, too exhausted for words. Emma pressed against him. Jack leaned on the cabin wall, leg bandaged, finally allowing himself to rest. Elena stood with Lily, both of them crying. Langston's vehicle drove away into the darkness. With him went years of fear, corruption, death. Behind stayed the wreckage, broken families, traumatized children, men who'd done terrible things to survive. And in the middle of it all, Ryan Cole, single father, salvage yard owner, holding his daughter while federal agents process the end of an empire. What happens now? Emma asked. Now we rebuild, Ryan said. Now we heal. Now we make sure this meant something. She looked up at him. Did Uncle Thomas's death mean something? Ryan thought about Thomas in the quarry, thought about the evidence that brought down Langston, thought about justice delayed but finally arriving. Yeah, he said. It meant everything. The safe house was a ranch-style home in a suburb Ryan had never heard of, anonymous and bland in the way government protection always seemed to be. 2 federal marshals stationed outside, cameras covering every angle, windows that didn't open. Emma had her own room with a bed that wasn't a sleeping bag on stone. Ryan had antibiotics prescribed by an actual doctor and a shoulder wound that was finally being treated properly. It should have felt like relief. Mostly it felt like waiting for the next disaster. They'd been there 3 days when Elena came to visit, bringing Lily and a stack of documents that required signatures. The girls disappeared into Emma's room immediately, voices bright with the kind of friendship that forms when you've survived the same nightmare. Elena sat across from Ryan at the kitchen table, dark circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. The prosecutor's office is moving fast, she said, spreading papers between them. Grand jury indictment came back yesterday. Langston's being charged with first-degree murder in Thomas's death, plus conspiracy, racketeering, money laundering, bribing public officials. 37 counts total. They're estimating trial in 6 months. That's fast for something this big. They want to move before Langston's lawyers can stall it to death. Plus, the evidence is overwhelming. Your recording, the documents, testimony from people Langston threatened who are finally willing to talk now that he's locked up. Elena's hands shook slightly as she organized papers. They found the men who killed Thomas, 2 of Langston's enforcers. Both flipped, gave detailed statements in exchange for reduced sentences. Ryan's throat tightened. What did they say? That Langston ordered the hit after Thomas refused to back down. They drugged him, drove him to the quarry, held him under until he drowned. Made it look accidental. Paid off the coroner to rule it death by misadventure. Her voice cracked. Thomas fought them. Almost got away. They had to chase him down. The image burned. Thomas running, desperate, knowing what was coming. Thomas going under, water filling his lungs, hands holding him down. Thomas dying terrified and alone because he tried to do the right thing. I'm sorry, Elena whispered. I know that doesn't help, but I'm sorry. You loved him. Not a question. Yes, I did. Too late and too quietly, but yes. She wiped her eyes. We worked together on a project about 3 years ago. Tech integration for his transport company. I was married then. Unhappily, but married. Thomas was kind. Made me laugh. Never pushed. Just existed in my life like this warm presence I didn't deserve. Why didn't you tell him? Because I was a coward. Because my marriage was complicated and I had Lily to think about. And Thomas deserved better than someone else's mess. She looked at Ryan. A month before he died, he asked me to dinner. Just dinner. I said no. Said it wasn't appropriate. The look on his face, she broke. I could have said yes. Could have given him that one night. Then maybe he wouldn't have been alone when they came for him. You can't think like that. Thomas made his choices. He knew the risks. Did he? Or did he just think the system would protect him if he played by the rules? We raised him to believe that. Believe truth wins, justice prevails, good people get good outcomes. Then he died choking on water while murderers held him under. Elena's anger was raw and real. The system failed him. We all failed him. Ryan didn't argue because she was right. They had failed Thomas. Society had failed Thomas. All the institutions that promised protection had looked the other way while Langston built his empire on blood and fear. What about the others? Ryan asked. The officials on Langston's payroll? 19 people charged so far. County judge, 3 prosecutors, 5 sheriff's deputies, state representatives, FBI field agent who buried Thomas's initial complaint. They're all going down. She managed a bitter smile. Your brother's evidence destroyed an entire corruption network. That has to count for something. Does it count enough to bring him back? Elena had no answer for that. In the other room, the girls laughed at something. The sound was jarring against the weight of their conversation. Jack visited on day 5, walking without the limp, his leg healing better than Ryan's shoulder. They sat on the back porch under the watchful eyes of the marshals, drinking coffee that tasted like it had been made that morning and reheated 6 times. Some. Millerton County's a mess, Jack said. Half the government's under indictment. Acting officials scrambling to fill positions. People are angry. Some blame Langston, some blame you for exposing it. Got protesters outside the courthouse calling you a snitch and a troublemaker. Sounds about right. Yeah. People hate change even when change saves them. Jack sipped his coffee. Your salvage yard got vandalized. Someone spray-painted traitor on the office. Broke windows. Stole equipment. Ryan closed his eyes. Of course they did. Cops arrested 2 guys. Both worked for Langston, trying to send a message. They're charged with destruction of property, looking at jail time. Jack set down his cup. Point is, Millerton's not safe for you anymore. Too many people angry at the wrong person. You thinking about what comes next? Honestly, no. I've been too busy thinking about what happened to think about what's coming. Fair. But you're going to need a plan. Emma's going to need stability. Can't live in a safe house forever. I know. You got family anywhere? People who could take you in? Ryan thought about it. His parents were dead. Sarah had remarried and moved to California, wanted nothing to do with their past. Thomas had been his only real family. and Thomas was gone. Just him and Emma now, alone in a world that had proven hostile and unforgiving. "We'll figure something out," Ryan said. "We always do." Jack studied him. "You're a tough son of a bitch. I respect that. But tough only gets you so far. At some point, you have to accept help." "Like you did?" "Fair point." Jack smiled without humor. "I've been alone since Melissa died. Easier that way. Less risk, less pain. Turns out it's also less living. Maybe we both need to learn that lesson." A week after Langston's arrest, Rachel Mora came to the safe house with news that changed the shape of everything. She sat in the living room looking official in a gray suit, her expression carefully neutral. "Victor Langston's legal team filed a motion this morning," she said. "They're arguing entrapment, claim we coerced his confession through duress and fraudulent means." Ryan's stomach dropped. "Will it work?" "No. We've got your recording, Elena's recording, 6 federal agents as witnesses. The confession stands. But it means the trial's going to be uglier than we hoped. His lawyers are going scorched earth. They're going to attack your credibility, your brother's credibility, Elena's testimony. Make it about you instead of about Langston. So they'll drag Thomas through the mud. They'll try. We'll fight it. But you need to be prepared for them to paint your brother as a criminal, a thief, someone who got what he deserved. It's going to hurt." It already hurt. The thought of Thomas's name being destroyed in court, his reputation shredded by lawyers defending the man who killed him, was almost worse than his death. "What about Emma?" Ryan asked. "They're going to come after her too." "They might. Painting you as an unfit father who endangered his child, using her trauma as evidence of your recklessness." Mora's face softened slightly. "I'm sorry. I know this isn't fair, but this is how they'll play it." "What do? We prepare. We document everything. We show the jury who Langston really is and what he really did, and we trust that truth matters." She paused. "It does matter. Not always immediately, not always cleanly, but eventually truth has weight." Ryan wanted to believe her, wanted to believe the system would work, justice would prevail, good people would win. But he'd learned the hard way that belief and reality often lived in different neighborhoods. Emma's nightmares started on day 10. Ryan would wake to her screaming, thrashing in sheets soaked with sweat, fighting invisible attackers. He'd hold her until the panic passed, until she remembered where they were and that the danger had ended. Then she'd cry quietly against his chest, small and broken, and Ryan would feel every single one of his failures as a father. "I keep seeing the bridge exploding," she told him one night after a particularly bad episode. "I keep hearing the gunshots, keep seeing you bleeding." "I know, sweetheart, I'm sorry." "Why won't it stop?" "It takes time. The brain has to process trauma. It's not something you can just turn off." "How long?" "I don't know. Weeks, months, maybe years, but it does get better, quieter, less sharp." "Does it ever go away?" Ryan thought about Thomas drowning, about the men he'd killed, about all the violence and fear that would live inside him forever, quieter maybe, but never truly gone. "No," he said honestly. "But you learn to live with it, learn to carry it without letting it crush you." She was quiet for a long time. Then, "I don't want to be broken." "You're not broken. You're hurt. There's a difference." "What's the difference?" "Broken means you can't be fixed. Hurt means you're healing. And you are healing, Emma. Every day you're a little stronger." "I don't feel strong." "Strong people rarely do. They just keep going anyway." Mora arranged for them to see a therapist, a woman named Dr. Sarah Chen, who specialized in childhood trauma. Emma went reluctantly, came back quieter each time. Ryan asked how it was going. "She wants me to talk about what happened. I don't want to talk about it." "I know. But sometimes talking helps." "Does it help you?" Ryan didn't have a good answer. He'd been avoiding his own therapy sessions, finding excuses, rescheduling. Talking meant reliving everything, and reliving everything meant feeling it all again, and he was barely holding together as it was. "I'm working on it," he said, which was a lie, but the best he could offer. The trial date was set for February, 5 months away. Mora warned them it could take weeks, maybe months. Ryan tried to plan that far ahead and couldn't. Couldn't imagine sitting in a courtroom day after day while lawyers dissected the worst moments of his life. Couldn't imagine Emma testifying if they called her. Couldn't imagine any of it. Elena called on day 20 with an offer that sounded too good to be real. My company has an office in Portland, she said. Tech hub. Good schools. Far enough from Millerton that nobody knows your face. I can arrange a position for you. IT support, facilities management, whatever fits your skill set. Pays good. Benefits included. Housing assistance until you get on your feet. Why would you do that? Because Thomas would have wanted me to. Because you and Emma deserve a fresh start. Because I have resources, and you need help. And that's how this should work. She paused. Also because Lily keeps asking when she can see Emma again, and Portland's a lot closer than a safe house in the middle of nowhere. Ryan felt something loosen in his chest. Hope, maybe, or the possibility of hope. I don't know anything about IT. You ran a business. Managed employees, handled logistics, the skills transfer. We'll train you on the tech parts. Her voice softened. Let me help, Ryan. Let me do for you what I should have done for Thomas. This won't bring him back. I know. But maybe it'll mean his death wasn't completely pointless. Maybe it'll mean something good came from all this horror. Ryan looked around the safe house that wasn't home, thought about Millerton County that couldn't be home anymore, thought about Emma, who needed stability and normalcy and a chance to be a kid again. Okay, he said. Thank you. They moved to Portland 6 weeks later, once the immediate danger passed and Langston's network had been sufficiently dismantled. The apartment Elena arranged was small but clean, 2 bedrooms, a view of nothing special but windows that opened and no marshals stationed outside. Emma got enrolled in a school where nobody knew what had happened, where she was just another 3rd grader with a lunchbox and homework. The first night there, Ryan stood in the kitchen that was theirs, in the home that was theirs, and felt the weight of the last 3 months finally hit him. He sat down on the floor and cried, great heaving sobs that had been building since Thomas died. Emma found him there, didn't say anything, just sat down next to him and held his hand until the storm passed. We're going to be okay, she said. Right, Dad? Yeah, he managed. We're going to be okay. The job Elena arranged was easier than Ryan expected. Facilities management for her tech company meant coordinating repairs, managing vendors, handling logistics. Things he'd done for years at the salvage yard, just in a different context. His coworkers were friendly without being intrusive, asked no questions about his past, accepted him as the guy who kept things running. Normalcy felt foreign at first. Getting up, going to work, picking Emma up from school, making dinner, helping with homework. The routine of regular life after months of fear and violence. Ryan kept waiting for something terrible to happen, kept checking over his shoulder, kept seeing threats that didn't exist. Dr. Chen said that was normal. PTSD, hypervigilance, the brain's inability to accept that the danger had passed. She gave him tools, breathing exercises, grounding techniques, cognitive behavioral approaches. Some helped, some didn't. Mostly Ryan just kept moving forward because stopping meant drowning in memories. Emma struggled too, but in different ways. She'd go quiet sometimes, staring at nothing, lost in memories Ryan couldn't reach. She had trouble sleeping, trouble concentrating, trouble trusting that this new life was real and permanent. Her teachers were patient, understanding, gave her space to adjust. Lily visited often, and those were the times Emma seemed most like herself. The 2 girls would disappear into Emma's room, talking about nothing important. School, friends, movies, music. Normal kid things. Building a friendship that wasn't defined by trauma, even though trauma had introduced them. Elena and Ryan fell into an unlikely friendship too, bonding over shared loss and shared survival. She'd come over for dinner. They'd talk about Thomas, about the trial, about how they were managing or not managing. Sometimes they'd just sit in silence, comfortable with someone who understood without needing explanation. I keep thinking about what he'd say about all this, Elena said one evening, while Emma and Lily watched a movie in the other room. Thomas had this way of finding humor in dark things. He'd probably make some terrible joke about being the most successful dead whistleblower in county history. Ryan smiled despite himself. He'd definitely make a joke. Probably about how dying was the only way he could get me to finally do something about corruption. He talked about you, last few months before he died. Said you were the strong one, the one who always kept going no matter what. He was wrong, he was stronger. You're both strong, just in different ways. Elena sipped her wine. Thomas's strength was in his idealism, his belief that the world could be better. Your strength is in your pragmatism, your ability to do what needs doing even when it's hard. He needed both. We all did. Fat lot of good it did him. It got Langston arrested. It exposed decades of corruption. It's going to put almost 20 people in prison. It saved other people from suffering what Thomas suffered. She met his eyes. That's not nothing, Ryan. That's legacy. Legacy. Ryan turned the word over in his mind. Thomas's legacy was truth and justice, and a corruption network destroyed. Ryan's legacy was a traumatized daughter and bodies on his conscience and nightmares that wouldn't stop. Hard to call either one a victory. The trial started on February 3rd, gray winter in the capital city where injustice came to be judged. Ryan and Elena both testified, walking through the evidence, the threats, the violence. Langston's lawyers were brutal, attacking their credibility, their motives, their character. Painted Ryan as a desperate man who'd fabricated evidence to cover his own crimes. Painted Thomas as a thief who'd died fleeing justice rather than fleeing murderers. Ryan sat through it with his hands clenched, forcing himself to stay calm, to trust the process. The prosecution countered with facts, documents, recordings, testimony from Langston's own men who'd flipped. The evidence was overwhelming, but trials weren't about evidence. They were about story. And Langston's lawyers were telling a story about overreach and vendetta and persecution. Jack testified about his daughter's death, voice steady despite the pain underneath. Described the investigation that went nowhere, the coroner who ruled driver error, the years of watching Langston walk free. Langston's lawyers tried to paint him as a conspiracy theorist, a grief-crazed father seeing murder where there was only tragedy. Jack didn't flinch, just repeated the facts and let the jury decide. The prosecution rested after 3 weeks. The defense called character witnesses, expert witnesses, witnesses who swore Langston was a pillar of the community. Called police, who'd been paid off but weren't under indictment yet, who testified about Langston's cooperation and civic contribution. Built a picture of a successful businessman being destroyed by vengeful enemies. Ryan watched it all from the gallery, feeling sick. This was how it worked. This was how powerful people stayed powerful. Not through innocence, but through lawyers and money and the ability to shape narrative. Then the prosecution played the recording, Ryan's voice tinny through the courtroom speakers, Langston's admission. Your brother was a thief and a traitor. Yes, I had him killed. Staged to look like an accident. The coroner was very cooperative. The courtroom went silent. The jury leaned forward. Langston's face went pale. His lawyers objected immediately. Entrapment, coercion, inadmissible. The judge overruled them. The recording stood, Langston's own words condemning him. The defense rested 2 days later, unable to overcome that single piece of evidence. Closing arguments happened on a Thursday, both sides summarizing their cases, asking the jury to see their version of truth. Then the waiting began. The jury deliberated for 3 days. Ryan spent them in a hotel room watching news coverage, second-guessing everything, imagining acquittal and what that would mean. Emma stayed home with Lily and Elena, insulated from the circus. Dr. Chen had said it would be traumatic for her to be there. Ryan agreed. The verdict came back on Monday afternoon. Ryan sat in the courtroom between Elena and Jack, hands sweating, heart hammering. The jury filed in, faces unreadable. The forewoman stood. In the matter of the state versus Victor Langston, count 1, murder in the first degree, we find the defendant guilty. The rest blurred. Guilty on all 37 counts: conspiracy, racketeering, bribery, money laundering, witness tampering. Every charge stuck. Langston's face remained impassive, but his hands shook. His lawyers immediately filed for appeal. The judge set sentencing for 6 weeks out. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Ryan said nothing, pushed through to the car where a marshal waited. Drove back to Portland in silence, processing. They'd won. Langston was guilty. Justice had happened. So why did it feel so hollow? Emma asked the same question that night. Did we win? Yes, sweetheart, we won. Then why do you look sad? Because winning doesn't bring Uncle Thomas back. Doesn't undo what happened. Doesn't make us not hurt. Ryan pulled her close. Justice is important, but it's not healing. That's something different. Are we healing? We're trying. Is trying enough? Ryan didn't know. Some days the trying felt like drowning. Some days it felt like barely keeping his head above water. But some days, rare days, it felt like maybe he could see shore ahead. Like maybe survival was possible. It has to be, he said. Sentencing happened in March. Daffodils pushing through dirty snow, the world insisting on renewal whether anyone was ready or not. The judge gave Langston life without parole on the murder charge, plus consecutive sentences on the other counts. Effectively multiple life sentences. He'd die in prison. 19 co-conspirators were sentenced in the following weeks. The judge, the prosecutors, the deputies, all got prison time ranging from 5 to 25 years. The corruption network Langston built was destroyed completely. Millerton County had to rebuild its entire government from scratch. Ryan attended none of the sentencing hearings. He'd said his piece at trial. Now he needed to focus forward, not backward. Needed to figure out how to live with what had happened instead of in what had happened. Dr. Chen helped. Slowly, painfully, through sessions that left Ryan exhausted and raw. Taught him that trauma wasn't weakness, that surviving wasn't the same as healing, that you could be broken and still be whole. Taught him that being a good father sometimes meant admitting you didn't have all the answers. Emma's therapy progressed too, her nightmares becoming less frequent, her smiles becoming more real. She joined soccer, made friends, started to rebuild the childhood that violence had stolen. Still had hard days, still had moments when the memories ambushed her. But the spaces between those moments grew longer. Jack visited in April, looking more settled than Ryan had ever seen him. He'd sold his cabin, moved into town, started volunteering with an organization that helped crime victims navigate the legal system. "Turns out I'm good at it," he said over coffee, helping people who feel helpless, giving them tools to fight back. "Feels right." "Melissa would be proud," Ryan said. "Yeah, I think she would." Jack studied him. "You doing okay? Really okay?" "Some days. Other days I'm a mess. But I'm still here, still trying." "That's all any of us can do." Jack pulled out a worn photograph, set it on the table. "Found this cleaning out the cabin. Thought you might want it." The photo showed Thomas and Ryan as kids, maybe 10 and 12, arms around each other, grinning at the camera. Ryan had forgotten this photo existed. Looking at it hurt and healed in equal measure. "Thank you," he managed. "He was a good man, your brother. Died doing the right thing. That's worth something." "Is it enough?" "No, but it's what we've got." Elena threw Emma a birthday party in June, 9 years old and alive and healing. Lily was there, and Emma's new friends from school, and kids who didn't know about bullets and bridges and caves. They played games and ate cake and laughed, and for a few hours Emma was just a kid at a birthday party. Ryan watched from the edge, Elena beside him, both of them understanding that this normalcy, this joy, was what they'd fought for. Not revenge. Not even justice, really. Just the chance for children to be children. "We did okay," Elena said quietly. "Not perfect, but okay." Thomas would say better than okay. Thomas would make a joke about how we took down a criminal empire and all we got was this lousy birthday party. Ryan smiled. Yeah, he would. They stood there watching the kids play, carrying the weight of what had happened, what they'd lost, what they'd survived. The weight didn't get lighter, but you got stronger carrying it. That's what Ryan was learning. That's what he'd teach Emma. Not that the pain stopped, but that you could carry it and still move forward. Later that evening, after the guests had left and Emma had gone to bed exhausted and happy, Ryan sat on the apartment's small balcony looking at city lights spreading to the horizon. His phone buzzed, text message from a number he didn't recognize. The message had no words, just a photograph. Thomas's grave, flowers fresh on the stone. Someone had been there recently. Left a note weighted with a rock. The camera angle showed the note clearly. You were right about everything. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for showing us that standing up matters even when it costs everything. Rest easy, brother. We finished what you started. Ryan didn't know who'd left the note. Could have been anyone. Someone from Millerton County, someone Langston had hurt, someone who'd needed to believe that courage meant something. Didn't matter who. What mattered was that Thomas's death hadn't been meaningless. that his choice to fight rather than fold had rippled outward, had inspired others, had changed things. Legacy. Ryan stood there on the balcony with the city sprawling below, holding his phone, looking at his brother's grave and the promise kept. The tears came finally, not from grief, but from relief. They'd done it, despite everything, despite the cost. They'd made Thomas's death mean something. Inside, Emma slept peacefully. Nightmares held at bay for one more night. Tomorrow, they'd both wake up and face whatever came next. Therapy appointments, work, school, the ordinary business of rebuilding lives after extraordinary trauma. It wouldn't be easy. Some days it would be impossibly hard. But they'd keep going, keep trying, keep learning to carry the weight without being crushed by it. Because that's what survivors did. Not because they were strong or brave or special, just because giving up wasn't an option when people you loved had died fighting. Ryan put his phone away, went inside, checked on Emma one last time. She slept curled around her bear, face peaceful, breathing steady. 9 years old and alive and safe and healing. Not perfect, not whole yet, but moving in the right direction. He turned off the light, stood in her doorway watching her sleep, and made a promise to the brother he'd lost and the daughter he'd kept. To live forward, to build something good from all this pain, to teach Emma that standing up mattered even when it cost everything, to show her that the world was dark sometimes, but that made the light matter more. To prove that love and courage and truth weren't just pretty words, but actual forces that could reshape reality if you were willing to pay the price. The price had been steep, would always be steep. 3 men dead by Ryan's hand, Thomas dead by Langston's, Jack's daughter dead years before, Emma's childhood forever marked by violence, Ryan's own psyche scarred in ways that would never fully heal. But against that weight stood this: Langston in prison for life. 19 co-conspirators behind bars, a corruption network destroyed, a county rebuilt, and 2 little girls who'd been hunted through forests now safe in a city far away, building friendship from shared trauma, learning that surviving was possible. The math didn't balance. Victory never compensated for loss. But it was what they had. And some days, most days, it was enough to keep going. Ryan closed Emma's door quietly, walked to his own room, lay down in the dark. Tomorrow he'd wake up at 6, make breakfast, get Emma to school, go to work. Live the life Thomas never got to finish living, carry the weight Thomas had died carrying. And maybe that was the real legacy. Not the arrests or the trial or the justice, but the living, the continuing. The refusal to let violence and corruption win by breaking you. The refusal to let darkness have the last word. Outside the window, Portland lights glittered. Inside, Emma breathed steadily in sleep. And somewhere in a cemetery Ryan hadn't visited yet, but would someday, Thomas's grave bore flowers and a note from a stranger who'd needed to believe that courage mattered. It did matter. Not because it made everything okay, but because without it, nothing ever got better. Ryan closed his eyes and finally, for the first time in months, slept without nightmares. Morning would come. Work would continue. Healing would progress in fits and starts. But tonight, for one night, peace was enough. And tomorrow they'd keep building on it, one day at a time, one choice at a time, one small act of courage at a time. Until someday, maybe, the weight felt bearable and the light felt brighter, and survival became living instead of just not dying. That was the goal. That was the promise. That was what Thomas had died for, and what Ryan would spend the rest of his life working toward. For himself, for Emma, for everyone who'd stood up when it would have been easier to stay silent, for the belief that despite everything, despite all the evidence to the contrary, doing the right thing still mattered. It had to matter. Otherwise, what was the point of any of it? Ryan fell asleep turning that question over in his mind, and woke 8 hours later with something he hadn't felt in a long time. Not happiness exactly, not peace, but hope. Small and fragile and hard won, but there. And for now that was enough.